man, y'all make sure y'all share this video and make sure y'all subscribe to All Viral Access Media. You know the vibes.
They thought we forgot, but we never forget. This one's for the rules. We built this land from dust and tears, 400 years, and we still here. They write new rules, but they don't see every freedom they got came off you and me. We planted seeds, they took the bloom. We lit the flame, they left the room. But we back now, know the skies. The spirits woke, we realize all we want is what we earn. That sweat and blood, yeah, that table turn. You can't buy culture, can't fake that fight. This is our day, this is our ride. We FBA. Say it loud, say it strong. We the heartbeat that's been here all along. Foundational Black Americans, stand tall. We ain't begging for nothing, we built it all. Born from pain and grace, you can see the truth written in our face. We the soul, the sound, to fight the flame. Foundational Black Americans, say our name. They love our rhythm, but they dodge our blues. Use our voice when it fits their news. They take our sound, but not our scars. We the backbone, we the stars. Now the veil is gone, the mask is clear. We see the game, we know what's here. No more silence, no more lies. We lift that flag and watch it rise. Rise up. We the ones that made this nation breathe. Our pain turned to power. Our roots are trees. We know world. It's rhythm and grace now, and now we reclaiming our rightful place. Can't copy courage, can't steal pain. You can't inherit soul by changing names. Our story ain't done, it's the revival. We guard the gate, it's about survival. We FBA, say it proud, say it loud. The world dances on what we vow. Foundational Black Americans, still we stand, still we fight, still we demand. Every block, every song, we've been right here all along. The soul of a people strong and free. Foundational Black Americans. We the first, we the rule, we the fire. Still rising, still here. Foundational Black Americans.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. We have three stories. One big question. What does justice look like in America today? Rick Chow walks free. Karmelo Anthony heads to trial. And Harlem residents demand answers on reparations. Tonight, we break it all down. So tap in. Tell somebody to tell somebody. It's going down right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. Welcome, welcome, welcome in, family. Welcome in. How's everybody doing? Let me see. Rock out, rock out, rock out. Chi-Town in the building. What's good? Solutions, what's happening? Otherwise Solutions, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening? Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. Yes, indeed, B1 family. What up? I am a mirror. What's good? Glad you black with us right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down. Some chick named D-Star. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. Hope everybody is doing well on your end. Sister Tanisha Murdoch, our regular sponsor of Thorough Black Talk Worldview. Tap in, tap in. Show a love, show a love, show a love. Aunt Marie, Uncle Jess on the check-in. What's good? What's good? Brownsville family in the building. Check y'all out on Saturday. It's going down. It's going down. What up, Unc? What up, Unc? In the building. While the crew gets ready behind the scenes, I know Brother Tad is running late, but he'll be joining us shortly. Sister Fawn, can't forget Alabama on the check-in. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Andrea Jones, what's good? Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. B1 and salute to you. Definitely appreciate you rocking out on this bridge with us. Ray L, what's happening? What's happening? How sweet it is up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Glad you rocking out with us. We got a lot to discuss, family. But, we like to start off with some Black history. We got to start off with the Black history. Okay? Now, those of you who have dishwashers, you might use this brand. But let's get a little history behind the brand. Shall we? We'll come right back. Hold on.
They teach this in school. You wash your dishes with Cascade dishwashing liquid. You smell that lemon scent every time. But did you know a Black American man helped create that formula? His name was Dennis Weatherby. Back then, dish soap was all about cleaning, but it didn't feel good to use. Strong smell, boring process, just a chore. But Dennis liked science. He liked fixing things that could be better. So he worked on a formula that still cleaned your dishes well, but left behind a fresh lemon scent. So the next time you wash your dishes and smell that lemon, think about the foundational Black American man who helped put it there. Share this with.
Yes, indeed. Something you may have known or may not have known. We in the month of Juneteenth. So we sharing the love as usual. I don't know if y'all knew the history behind that. But if you didn't, now you know, now you know, now you know. Brother Blacksmith, are you ready? Let's get our brother Blacksmith up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Brother, what's good? What's good? What's good?
Peace, beloved. How are you today?
Good. Rocking the shirt. FBA versus everybody. Brother Black sent that to me. If you want one, reach out to him. Reach out to him. FBA versus everybody. Can you see the everybody? Down here. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is right now.
Thank you. Thank
That's how it is right now.
Yeah. And it's funny that, today you're going to cover other stuff. I know it's still related to FBA, but, it's crazy. So thank you for rocking the shirt. Thank you for the plug. Hey, life is happening and we here. So what did you want to talk to me about last week that we didn't get to, that you say you wanted me to pump out today? Or you want to wait? You on mute? No,
let's go with it, because while the crew get ready behind the scenes, let's get to it.
Okay,
we got a full program tonight.
You didn't tell me what it was, so I still don't know what.
I sent it to you. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
And then we'll discuss it. All right. Give me a second, family. You know how I move around here. All right. Well, Brother Black been mentioning this for a minute now. But there's a new movie coming out, I think next week on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Disclosure. And it's about this very topic. I think I'm going to check that out dolo. I'm going to go by myself, check out a matinee. This is a movie I want to see. What up, Arnold? Queens in the building. What's happening? Yes, indeed. Naturally me. What's good? Glad you rocking out on the Brooklyn Bridge with us. I'm going to play this clip, and then we'll come right back. Brother Black, with your thoughts. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Me and Ancestry.com was a CIA project, essentially. The CIA were using these entities to find some type of bloodline of Nordics, aka aliens.
So they were looking for alien DNA in humans.
Correct. I think it's going to get spiritual and scientific at the same time. Because I've heard another theory where they said they're using 23andMe and Ancestry.com to where they're looking for the bloodline of Jesus. This is coming from a whistleblower that used to work for the CIA, Len Buchanan. He's a remote viewer for the U.S. Army. He's now retired. And he worked for CIA program Project Stargate, where they had psychic soldiers and remote viewers. That's what he said. He's saying that these entities are being used to find these bloodlines. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's something that's happening?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So like 10 plus years ago when, 23andMe and Ancestry.com, and I'm like, I think it'd be interesting to know my background, but there's no way I'm ever going to willingly give up my DNA. And my first thought was exactly that. They're hunting down the lineages. They're hunting down the bloodlines. If you think about it, right? Like within sort of the experiment of human beings and planet Earth, there have been, I believe, up to 20 different species that have spliced their DNA with us along our evolutionary journey, and they continue to do that. So it's not just like one bloodline that they're looking for. There are many humans who have higher than normal Nordic or Pleiadian DNA, higher than normal reptilian DNA, which are usually the royal families. They keep it in the bloodline, literally. Right. So they could also be looking to recruit Illuminati members who have high reptilian DNA. Like,
right. That's why they constantly try to, they're putting it in our food, putting it in the skies. In the skies.
They're keeping us distracted. They're keeping us in fear. They're keeping us dull, and I think we mentioned last time, right? Mm-hmm. Attention is currency. It's energy.
It is. And I find it interesting too, going back to 23andMe and who owns that.
Oh, that's right.
There we go.
Little person by the name of Ann Wachicki.
The hell's that?
Okay. Ann Wachicki was married to none other than Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google. They go bankrupt just last year.
23andMe?
Yeah. How convenient.
Interesting.
After you get all the DNA.
Wow.
They go bankrupt because they had a data leak.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait.
Come on.
Get this. So that really hurt their stock. Company goes under, goes into bankruptcy court, sells for pennies on the dollar, right? Guess who buys it? A nonprofit owned by the same very person.
Get the fuck out of here.
And bought her own company through a nonprofit. She still owns it.
They just hustling. They're just hustling.
Gets even crazier.
Come on.
Jesus.
Who was her sister? Her sister Susan was the CEO of none other than YouTube.
YouTube, we love you.
Side note.
No beef. But that's crazy.
And then Ancestry.com. Guess who owns them? Blackstone.
Oh,
no.
shit. The usual suspects.
So they're saying 23andMe. And
Your thoughts, Brother Black, because you talked about this before. And Sister Brooke always tell y'all, do not give up your DNA to these ancestry sites. But I want to hear your thoughts, brother.
Look, if let me address that DNA part first. If they really want your DNA, they can get it easy. It's not a hard thing to get. Once you drink from a cup, your DNA is on it. So if you go to a restaurant and you don't know the waiter is a CIA agent, they might just take something that your DNA is on and then just extract it and then figure out if they looking to investigate you. So don't even pay attention to stuff like that, because if they want it, they can get it. That's how they're catching a lot of criminals in this day and age today, based on evidence, even if they don't have footage or anything that, tangible to go off. If your DNA has already been entered in the database and they match it, they already got you. Now they got to prove it at that point, but they don't have to, they can do other schemes to get the information they need out of you to figure out if it's you that did the crime or not. Now, what's the second question or the next point you wanted me to talk about?
I'm going to play this next video, but, even when you go to your doctor's appointments, right, and they take urine and blood samples, right? That's the first thing they do when you get a physical, or if you have an issue, they take your urine and blood samples. And they take several vials of blood, when they take your samples. It's very, very interesting. But as Andrea said, Kimberly said, it's diabolical. It's diabolical. But, everything is being revealed now. Everything is coming out. I'm going to play this clip as a follow-up, and then we'll move on to the next point. Hold on.
DNA test and finding out you're not from where you thought you were, right? Maybe you grew up thinking you were Italian, but most of your DNA comes back as French. It happens all the time. But now I want you to imagine you're not from the planet you thought you were from. Maybe you already knew that. I know that sounds like science fiction, but the possibility is gaining a lot of traction in some UFO circles because on a recent podcast, science fiction writer and philosopher Jason Rezajani says he was told about a secret CIA program by former U.S. Army Sergeant Lynn Buchanan. And Buchanan seemingly claims that he's a psychic spy who worked for the government's remote viewing program during the Cold War and was approached by a group of aliens known as the Nordics who've been hiding out in plain sight, living quietly in small American towns. At least they're hiding out for now. Because according to Giorgiani, Buchanan claims a UAP researcher named Christopher Kit Green believes he may have found a way to identify these secret aliens by searching for a specific non-human or hybrid genetic marker inside DNA databases like Ancestry and 23andMe. And on the pie chart listing ethnicities, there's something sometimes called a wedge. It's called other, which means unknown, unidentifiable. So UFO theorists believe that could mean extraterrestrial. Now, to be clear, I get it. I know this all sounds unbelievable, right? And yes, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But as new UAP files continue to be released by the Pentagon, is it fair to at least ask whether some of these things that we once laughed off maybe deserve some serious scientific scrutiny? You know who I'm bringing in. Avi Loeb, astrophysicist, Harvard professor, one of the leading voices pushing for a fact-based, evidence-first approach to the search for life beyond Earth. Avi, always good to see you. Happy to separate fact from fiction. This a real thing?
Well, thanks for having me. I don't think it's very likely to be a real thing. I mean, it's possible the CIA or anyone else might have been curious about this question, but there is no scientific basis to lend any credibility to this possibility because, first of all, you know, for biological beings to travel interstellar distances, it requires a very unusual genetic engineering because we know that, you know, these trips, even at the speed of light, would take tens of thousands of years. And, you know, they are very hazardous because of bombardment by cosmic rays. You know, humans cannot survive for more than a few years on Mars or the moon.
I hear that. I hear that. I guess the question is there a genetic marker that you could search for potentially?
Yeah, I mean, about the origin of our species, you know, of course, there could be paths that led to humans that are not fully recognized. That definitely is possible. And you could have also markers within the DNA that indicate some effect of transfer of life from, let's say, Mars to Earth. What is called panspermia. You can imagine situations like that. But, you know, the DNA is not necessarily universal throughout the cosmos. You know, the kind of genetic code we find nowadays in humans, you know, was very different if you go back a billion years on Earth or a few billion years. There weren't even cells, eukaryotic genesis, you know, of cells in which the DNA is packaged. It only came about 2 billion years ago on Earth. That was less than half the age of the Earth. So imagining someone visiting us with similar DNA characteristics is extremely unlikely to be relevant because, you know, there is also the possibility of the helicity, the way the molecules of the DNA are organized, to be exactly opposite, and then it would be catastrophic for us to even touch such beings. I recommend not shaking the hand of an alien if you find one. It's
I'll
really
keep
dangerous.
that in mind. I'll keep that.
That's crazy. Uptight 24, thank you for rocking out on the Brooklyn Bridge with us. Sister Marcia, you ready? Sister Pat, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Glad you rocking out on the Brooklyn Bridge with us. What's up, Marcia? How you doing?
Peace, family. Happy Blacktastic Thursday. The heat wave is coming. New York is hot. And the garden is gardening, I think.
Nice.
How's everybody?
Hey, let me say something I ain't said in a long time. Wingyal, wow.
I'm good. There's a lot going on back here.
You looking great, sis. Go ahead, you can continue. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, brother. Sister Keisha, how's everything?
Good, 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 good. You know, it's also, yes, naturally me. She said, don't forget what they did to Henrietta Lex. But
did you hear about the story about the babies recently? Oh man, I forgot. But they said they did the same thing to some babies. I can't remember the details.
In Romania? Erica Kirk
No,
in Romania?
In the United States, they had extracted DNA and used them as carriers for some type of vaccine. I'm gonna try to find it and share, but yeah, they keep playing with us, and we are just finding out about all these games.
it's crazy. What up, Bev James? Glad you rocking out on the bridge with us. But you know, it's also Black Music Month, right? And we lost Peabo Bryson. What was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. One of the greatest balladeers to ever do it. You know, he had fantastic hits, you know, for those who don't know. You know, Can You Stop the Rain? What's some of his what do you call it?
Let the feeling flow.
I'm So Into You.
Yeah, let the feeling flow.
Yeah. He did ballads with Roberta Flack, Celine Dion, and Natalie Cole.
I think his biggest hit, even though it wasn't his song, was A Whole New World with Regina Bell.
Oh yeah. That's what I just said. I think the greatest duet to me was with Regina Bell. For sure.
Aladdin, for those Disney folks like me.
Oh, I hear that.
But hey, Disney wasn't about racists. Stop picking them up.
Everything and every product out here has a lot of racism in it. So I'm not bigging them up. I'm bigging, you know, some of the talent that contributed to their notoriety today.
Let's do a little backstory. I don't know if you all know, but he used to be best friends with Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, they go way back. They was tight.
Don't they kind of look alike, like a little bit?
Not to me. I don't see that. Maybe somebody else eyes will see that, but I don't. But anyway, excuse me. Excuse me. After, you know, they became friends and Sugar Ray divorced his wife, you know, people married her. Let's get the backstory. Y'all want the backstory? Let's get the backstory. Hold on. Check this out.
Forgive the guy who stole my ex-wife. Back in the day in LA, we'd go out together with our girls, dinners, games, all of it. Back then, Peabo was a big-time R&B star, and I was a world champion in boxing. Two guys with nothing in common, and somehow we became tight. Then that thing happened. You all know what I'm talking about. I divorced Juanita in 90, and by 91, that kid was chasing her. I felt like I've been stabbed in the back. I considered you a brother, and you just did that. I even wondered if he had his eye on her before I was even divorced. Decades went by without a single word, no joint appearances. We even avoided each other on purpose. And now, he's gone. I pulled out some old photos and saw us young, arms around each other, grinning like idiots. Back then, none of the mess existed, yet we were just two scrappy kids, thinking the world belonged to us. Peabo, I'm telling the truth now. Yes, I hated you, but yes, I also really did consider you a brother. Go in peace. I'll dig.
Interesting, you know, despite the controversy, he was great at what he did. I believe he had an 8-year-old son, or has, an 8-year-old son. On who said, dirty macking at his best. Oh, God. But, you know, that's what happened. But do y'all know the backstory of Al Green? What happened when he got burnt with them grits? Y'all know the story? If you know the story, let me know. Want to see it, Black?
The woman that he was having an affair with, right? And all I remember is and
well, was it an affair? Because it was an affair on her part, not on his. You know, he wasn't married, she was.
Right. Yeah, an elder was recently telling me this story, maybe about 3-4 years ago. She was like, yeah, you don't know that he got grits thrown on him and then he turned his life over? I was like, never knew something like that. Thanks for sharing, old lady. I appreciate you, Mama.
If you want me to paraphrase, all I know is love and happiness. I don't know the backstory though. I know you got the grits thrown on him because he was cheating, but you know I didn't know the backstory.
Not love and happiness. Black is messy. Let me play the backstory, and we'll get it straight from Al Green's lips. How about that? Here we go.
And she had a problem, and her problem was this. She explained to me. She says, you know, I had a problem. Da 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 da. I said, what's that? She says, I love you. I said, well, okay, great. Then you love me. I like you too. So I ain't no problem with it. But see, there's one thing she didn't tell me. You know, I find out after the incident happened that she was married, had 3 kids. I didn't know none of these things. I asked her, you know, before when I first met her, I said, are you married? She says, no, I'm not married. So she told her friend, Barbara, and you better not tell him. So Barbara says, well, you know, I'm not going to tell him, but you're going to have to tell him sooner or later. I never knew any of these things until after the incident happened. She says, well, I love you, and I don't want to, you know, to go on without you and to be involved in anything else doesn't mean anything to me. I says, well, please don't take that much of a do or die attitude about things. I said, man, you know, there's life to live. I didn't know it was that serious, see, you know, because I didn't, you know, I told her there was life to live. We just put out this song called Sha La La, Make Me Happy, you know, and you're free, I'm free, boom, you know, no problem. So, you know, after the session, we went to the house, you know, I'm in the, you know, fixing coffee, da-da-da, you know, da-da-da. So she asked me if I would marry her. I says, oh, no, I don't think I'm ready to get married. This is 1974. I mean, I just been in this 2 or 3 years, you know. She said, well, I sure love you. I said, well, okay, well then let's think on it a while, would you? You know, and, you know, I went to the, you know, and there was more people in the house other than us, you know, and so I went to my section. I have a kind of like an apartment in the house, and I closed the door, you know, and afterwards and all the other stuff, you know, and I went downstairs. I said, why are you boiling water? She said, you know, so I said, so I went back, you know, up, and I left the door open that time. When she came back up, I seen this whole pot of water, and all of a sudden, I'm full of it, you know. And I had on this little thin, you know, kind of a thin robe, because see, like I'm fixing to get ready to dethorn and go to bed, right? So, boom, man, I'm in total pain and shock, you know. Yeah.
Wasn't it grit?
Yeah, well, you see, you mix this stuff in and make it kind of slimy thick, you know. And I'm saying, like, what is this, you know? And all of a sudden, I'm full of it, you know. So this is so much pain, man. And I reach back, man, and I got 2 fingers full of skin. I went over after being full of grits, jumped in the shower because I'm ached all over, and I called this girl from next door over to help me because I'm in total, you know, and man, I've got these big boils on my skin, and like, man, I'm telling you, I'm in total pain. I can't believe the pain. All of a sudden you hear, and that was the end of that. You hear something hit the floor, boom. And that was the end of that. I said, what's that noise? She said, sound like gunshots. I said, this can't be that. Come on, this is ridiculous. This thing is going crazy. I go over here, boom, here this lady is lying in the floor. Here this pistol is in her hand. I'm saying, oh my God, what in the world? Call the police. She said, but this is crazy. I said, call the police. Hey, just call the police. So I called my brother Bill, and he picked up Cheryl Hodges, and we called the sheriff's department. That's all. I said, hey, man, just get me to the hospital. I says, I am hurting. See? And by then, man, I had big boils all over my back, man. I'm saying, man, this is crazy, man. I can't understand any of this. You were in the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and I stayed at the hospital, and they dealt with all of that. But now the thing I want to ask you today is that I really don't believe today if that actually happened. And I'm not joking. I'm asking you a question. Was that really true? And that's a fact. And I'm not playing it for the movie. But I asked people today. I'll sneak off and ask the chief of police today, who's a good friend of mine. I says, did this actually, or was she faking? Or was she joking? I don't, that's unbelievable. See? So I didn't really believe that. And today I have trouble with it. If I focus in on it one-on-one, I have trouble believing that it happened.
Crazy, boy. It's crazy.
He had amnesia.
Well, if you was burned the way he was burned, you have amnesia too.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
This happened.
But they do say, like, when trauma hits you, you selectively forget that trauma because of the level of pain that you're in. So
that's a lot of physical pain.
Yeah. And if it hit a little spot,
the skin was falling off him.
Yeah.
When they called the police, it was bubbling, on his back. That's what he said. It was bubbling. So, that's crazy, boy. Somebody don't want to be with you. You're just going to crash out.
And kill yourself afterwards, too.
It's crazy work.
Sheesh.
But again, look at today. A couple of weeks ago, these are high schoolers. The girl didn't want to give the boy her phone number. He body slams her to the ground and stomps on her head.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always tell my daughter, when you break up with somebody, break up with your pistol. Keep the pistol in the hand when you tell them it's done. Because people crash out. People are mentally unstable around here. So, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I shared that link with you. It was in Harlem Hospital that they took the baby's DNA.
Yeah, let's check this out. Hold on.
Families have just filed a lawsuit against the federal government because their babies were used as test subjects in a vaccine trial without their parents' consent. Tissue from their 1960s autopsies was used to develop an RSV vaccine, now generating billions of dollars in revenue. But if you know history, you know this has happened before. In the 1840s, a doctor named J. Marion Sims performed repeated painful vaginal surgeries on 3 enslaved Black women, Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy, without their consent and without anesthesia. They call him the father of modern gynecology. From 1932 to 1972, Black men infected with syphilis were deliberately left untreated in the Tuskegee experiment so the government could observe the disease destroying their bodies. In 1951, cancer cells were taken from a Black woman named Henrietta Lacks without her consent and used to generate billions of dollars in medical research. In the 1990s, Black and Latino boys here in New York City were injected with a dangerous drug called fenfluramine to test whether their brain chemistry could predict criminal behavior. And in 2021, we learned that remains of victims of the 1985 MOVE bombing, when Philadelphia police dropped a bomb on a Black neighborhood, had been used in Ivy League classrooms without the family's consent. Historian Harriet Washington documents many of these incidents in her book, Medical Apartheid. But this is not ancient history. So what can we do? Demand criminal accountability from the researchers, demand reparations for Black families, and demand federal law to stop this from happening again.
Unbelievable.
No, it's believable. It's believable because they're still doing it.
Yep.
Still doing it. It's mind-boggling, but you got to be careful in how you move out here, especially during election years. That's why all these murders are happening right now. All these homicides, these racial homicides that are taking place, and then, the dominant society, they're getting weaker. And so they use the buffer classes to do their dirty work for them, right? Like in the case with Ricky Chow. This guy who unalived Cyrus Carmack-Belton back in 2023 outside of a convenience store in South Carolina. Shout out to everybody in South Carolina. They turning up. They shutting it down. So, in Richmond, Richland County, the jury found Chow not guilty of murder, which sparked, a lot of debates and community outrage, as it should be, right? It was his self-defense in the property of Chow jurisdiction. The defense heavily anchored its narrative on the father's duty to defend his child, convincing the jury that Chow reasonably feared for his son was about to be shot. So the counter argument, critics emphasized that the entire interaction was catalyzed by false shoplifting accusations for a $1 bottle of water. Legally, deadly force cannot be used to protect minor property, raising questions about whether citizens should be allowed to chase down suspects over nonviolent infractions. And so the mechanics of fear of a fleeing shot in the back, a major point of contention is the bullet trajectory, because Carmack-Belton was shot in the back while trying to run away. The prosecutors and community advocates argue that he was actively retreating and posed no immediate danger. The legal threshold under South Carolina law, a person must have a reasonable fear of imminent threat or death or serious bodily harm for injury to use deadly force. The verdict indicates that the jury believed Andy Chow warning created a reasonable split-second fear for life, regardless of whether the boy was facing forward or when the trigger was pulled. Now that's crazy. That's totally crazy to me. But again, this is what you expect. It's reminiscent of Latasha Harlem, or the Crown Heights vegetable market riot that took place. I don't know if y'all remember that, but that too took place with, someone of Asian lineage, right? Racial profiling and the criminalization of Black youth, it's national. Local residents argued that the case reflects a precedent, dangerous trend of viewing Black boys as older, more aggressive. He's a child, 14-year-old child, But this is what we should expect. This is how these race soldiers operate, and, you have to be careful, how you move out here. I wanted to play a clip of some of the commentary by his family and legal representation and a little bit from the community, and then we'll come right back and we'll discuss. Let me see if I can take this out, put that in. This is the family attorney and young man's father in a light colored jacket. Let's play and we'll come right back and discuss.
Question kept coming up. Why does a 14-year-old need a gun? The question was answered when he was shot dead in the streets 130 yards from a store where he did absolutely nothing wrong. The question was answered when this jury found him not guilty today. The question was answered because a child, a 14-year-old child shot dead in Richland County, got no justice. When the family got no justice. I'll pause. The anger is palpable tonight. You can feel it, you can touch it, because people saw a child that looked like their own, that did nothing wrong. A child that all the witnesses described had fear in his eyes when he left the store. And then he started to run as two grown men chased him down over a football field and shot him dead. This should not happen. This makes us feel as if our children don't matter, and they do. This makes us feel like Cyrus's life did not matter, and it did. What you see tonight is going to be the anger. And what we ask is that that anger not turn into anything else but words, to go online, to talk about it, to discuss it, but not to act like what people in their evil minds think that we are. We are certainly better than that. Cyrus was better than that. His family is better than that. It's unfortunate that this was the jury's verdict. We have no choice but to accept it, but we don't disagree, but we don't agree. There is no way that a child who did nothing wrong, who is shot in his back, how that jury can justify that verdict. I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. I don't understand it. I'm at a loss to explain it to his father, Troy, standing beside me. I'm at a loss to explain it to his mother, who couldn't take it and had to leave. I'm at a loss to explain it to his family, because I too don't understand it. I've talked to the sheriff tonight. We all asked for calm. We all asked that everybody make sure that we celebrate Cyrus's life, that we make sure that his legacy continues like his life did. He ran away and he got shot in the back. It should not happen. Shouldn't have happened. And unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with the end results of it. Thank you. The question.
Let me play this next clip and then we'll come right back. Hold on.
Moment, Cyrus walking to the cooler, opening the door, taking out 4 bottles of water, one by one, standing there, then putting every single one back, one by one, closing the cooler. He never took a thing. But before he could reach that door, the store owner's wife said something in Cantonese. And within seconds, surveillance cameras captured all 3 of them, Alice Chow, Andy Chow, and Rick Chow, running after him. The investigator was asked, "Do you remember the moment you realized Cyrus never took anything?" He said, "I do." Did Cyrus Carmack-Belton ever brandish a firearm inside that store? The investigators answer, no. Did he ever point a laser at anyone inside that store? No. Has anyone ever said he did? No one. That testimony came from the investigator who sat inside Rick Chow's own back office the night of the shooting, watching the store's surveillance footage play out on Chow's personal laptop, with Chow himself operating every camera angle. He was then asked what Chow's reaction was in that moment, whether anyone showed any emotion when they realized the entire confrontation. The chase, the shoe flying off, the fall, the shot had started over something that never even happened. The investigators answer, "Not to my recollection." The jury then watched the surveillance footage themselves, slide by slide, camera by camera, every angle from inside that store. Alice Chow visible in frame, Andy Chow with his hat on backwards behind the counter, Rick Chow in a plaid shirt moving through the store, and Cyrus browsing the aisles, walking to the cooler, putting the water back, picking up his backpack, and walking toward the door. This is the moment, Cyrus walking to the cooler, opening the door.
This is just diabolical. And I question, number one, when the trial was beginning, and you choose your jurors, I wonder how many of them were of the lineage. I wonder how many of them, if there were any, to sit in the juror box and come up with a verdict of not guilty, and also how slick the prosecutor was in only charging him with murder, because there's no first degree, second degree, or whatever. But I think if they would have gone for manslaughter, they would have definitely gotten a conviction right? And, but it just shows that these race soldiers will protect their own, Let's not forget that, during enslavement, see these Asians, there was a Siamese twin slave owners. They had about 40 slaves, if I'm not mistaken. Edgar and Ing Bunker. Most famous conjoined Siamese twins in history. They were slave owners. Born in Thailand in 1811, they were brought to the U.S. as part of the circus. They had slaves in mid-1800s in North Carolina, which is the neighboring state to South Carolina. So, they have a history in this country, some of them, as enslavers, and a lot of people don't know that, But I want to hear from their parents, and then we'll bring the U.S. Freedmen Project president and Sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge. I want to hear from their parents because this is very interesting. Lord Jesus. Okay.
But when I go and I look at my social media, I have racist people coming to my page, going under my son's pictures, leaving the most horrific things, saying that they're glad he's dead, good riddance, and I am tired. I don't want this to happen to any other child. No black or brown child should have to go through this. No parent should have to go through this. This has to stop today. And I just learned today that South Carolina, if it's a murder charge, that they cannot bring in any of your prior acts. Rick Chow shot 2 people before. Rick Chow accosted a child in that store and beat her up with a gun on her hip. And none of that information could be brought to light. And I do not think that is fair. And if that is on the law books, that needs to be changed. Because if that was not there, then my son would have gotten justice. And to allow this person to terrorize this neighborhood for 12, 13 years is ridiculous. And it's just showing that it's okay to treat black and brown people wrong, and it's not.
Hold on one second. This is his son that Chow said he was protecting. Check out his testimony.
The Shell station. Was he trying to get away from you two?
I'm not sure why he ran.
Did he ever stop and ask to shake your hand?
No, sir.
Did he ever run towards you?
No, sir.
Okay. He was running away from you, right, Andy?
I can't speak for him.
Was he running towards you?
No, sir.
Was he running away from you? It's not a hard question.
I guess not to me, yes, sir.
He was trying to get away from where you were, correct?
Could be.
It could be. You and your dad are yelling at him and running after him.
I did not. Outside of the store, I did not yell at him.
You yelled at him in the store.
Well, I called out to him, hey.
And your dad yelled to him when he got out of the store.
And my dad called out hey to him. Yes.
And he ran away from you.
Okay, yes, sir.
I know, I'm asking you. This is your chance to answer my questions. And they're not hard, are they? He ran away from you and your father, did he not?
He did run away from me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
At any point did he turn and engage with you? You understand that word?
He did not.
Okay. At any point did he stop and turn towards your dad and pull out a gun in the store?
Towards my dad, no, sir.
Did he do that to you in the store?
No, sir.
Did he do that when y'all chased him into Spring Tree? Did he turn around before y'all left the parking lot and point a gun at you?
No, sir.
But you continued to chase him though, didn't you? And you actually called up to him, you called up to him twice, is what you said in your statement roadside. right?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean? What was the first time you caught up with him?
I'm not completely sure.
Okay. So you catch up with him, and then he keeps going, and then he falls, and then you catch up with him again, and that's when the gun thing happens, right?
Yes, sir. He pointed the gun at me.
Okay. And you said he fell, he took 1 to 2 steps after he got shot and fell down?
Yes, sir. Or yeah, he kind of ducks to the ground and stays on the ground.
Okay. But you testified he took 1 to 2 steps after he was shot and fell to the ground.
Yes, sir.
When y'all
This is crazy. This is crazy. This mother effer sitting there lying on the stand. Lying on the stand until the prosecution pushed up on him. You know, one thing about repetitive speech, it's very dangerous because it causes people to mimic and believe it. Now, my condolences to the family to lose their child in that way, to lose your child, period, but in that way. I can only imagine the pain as a mother, you know, and a grandmother. I can't even think. I'm just telling you that if my child goes, so does yours. That's the kind of time I'm on. If my child goes, so does yours. I'm on that type of time. But in the mother's pain, she's repeating repetitive speech, black and brown. Where the brown people at? What we talking about here? He didn't shoot the brown people. But again, repetitive speech is very, very dangerous. Let me get my brother Devon and Sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge, the U.S. Freedmen Project president. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
What's going on this evening? What's going on the bridge?
Ready to rock out, brother.
Happy Black American Music Month.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
I see you got it. I see you got it heavy behind you.
You know. I had to bring a crew with me tonight.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
How you doing, Sister Marcia, Brother Black, Sister Keisha? How y'all doing this evening?
Fantastic. Good to see you, brother.
Just breaking down this crazy case. Ricky Chow. But let me get Sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening, sister? What's happening?
Hello. Good night, everybody. Hi, Brother Black. Hi, Sister Marcia. Hi, Keish. I love you, hun. And hello, President Zavine. Lord have mercy. Man. Every time I think about this case, I think about me being a young person when the whole Trayvon Martin thing happened, and I was talking to my mother about it. And I remember my mother telling me, but this is what always happens. And when she said that, it hit me in such a way, like this was before the verdict came out. She was like, don't expect much. It's and then it's like when then the verdict came out, and I just remember her saying that to me, and I'm like, this is just a repeated pattern that's happened here. And the new part about the pattern is the use of the buffer classes to do it. These very same immigrants that have been brought in here to economically push us to the back of the hiring line are now being used and empowered to unalive our children. And we're going to have to do something about it. And that's all I'm going to say on the internet.
Brother Devon, any commentary on this tragic result in this case?
Yes, because I think this is indicative of a number of things where I could go, but I don't want to be long-winded at the beginning of the show. I'm trying to save my energy. But what I will say is some years ago, you had the Roland Martins of the world trying to frame what is happening in this country and around the movements that we are launching, right? And it was at the beginning of this delineation and ethnic group political autonomy movement. And he wrote a book, and I can't remember the exact title, but essentially what it was saying was what is really getting the goat of these white supremacists is that the country is moving to a minority majority, right? I think it's something, the browning of America. And even then, there was another story on the socials that went about that talked about the birth rates for white folks versus the birth rates versus brown folks, and you had all the people cheering and kind of co-signing that message and acting like it was a good thing. And so I, in response to that, wanted to make sure I reminded the family that and I gave examples of all the documented, let me say that, the documented anti-Black Americanness of these quote unquote brown and non-white groups. Because the browning of America would only be a good thing if all the quote unquote brown was on one accord or against the injustice that comes from the system of white supremacy. When you have brown foot soldiers of white supremacy, the browning of America makes no never mind for the Black Americans. Because the brown Americans are allowing and going to help try to usher in a minority rule. And so what we see here is the setting up of how the system of white supremacy uses these other non-white, quote unquote, brown groups to fill the gap between our community and their community in the way in which Sister Brooke has labeled them buffer classes. And this is how you get these anti-Black American groups to be empowered. They can't be empowered without the system. And this is how the system works hand in hand to empower them over us. I'll never forget this, and I'll take a breath here. During that Asian hate campaign, I think I said this on the bridge before. This is back when they had the chat rooms on Clubhouse.
Twitter?
No, Clubhouse.
Oh, wow.
Where you needed the iPhone to get on.
Yep.
And I had bummed somebody's iPhone so I could get on. And during that Asian hate is when I was talking about how the Asian hate launched these Asian only task force within NYPD, something that we have never gotten for various reasons and why they justified it. But I was talking to an quote unquote Asian activist, and we were going back and forth on that topic of contention. And he was saying, you know what, the one thing I have to tell the truth about is that when we come here, we know we can't be white, but we do everything that we can to make sure that we're not Black. And he was talking toward the treatment and the hierarchy in this country. And that is what we're seeing on display. And like Sister Brooke said, we are going to have to do something about that. And that's for offline conversations.
Right, because she warned y'all back in 2018.
Uh-oh.
She warned y'all. But people don't like to listen. Because when I saw what happened to Miss Thelma, that was crazy to me. But sticking with Ricky Chow, this guy, he had a history of doing things to Black people.
Man, you kept shooting him! His back was turned to you, man!
This was his third shooting. The jury didn't get to know that, but I'm going to make sure that you know about the 2 previous shootings before Rick Chow was found not guilty for taking the life of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack-Belton. 2015, a woman stole beer and peanuts. Chow says that she then threatened his life, and then she got in a vehicle, so he shot at that vehicle 6 times. Thank goodness no one was hurt. Chow was not charged. Investigators called it self-defense. The second time was in 2018. A man stole oven cleaner. Chow says that man then assaulted him, so he shot him twice. No charges. Self-defense. The man who stole the oven cleaner, though, he was charged in connection with that case. And then we get to 2023. That's when 14-year-old Cyrus went into a convenience store owned by Rick Chow. Chow said that he stole water. Surveillance video showed that he did not. Cyrus ran from that store, and he ran so hard during the 130-yard chase where Rick Chow was chasing him with a weapon and with his son. Cyrus, this child, ran so fast that he ran out of one of his shoes and his belongings fell out of his pocket, including a weapon, and then he was shot in the back as he was running away.
You know, how many times have we seen videos of them beating the stuffing out of people in their stores, outside of the stores, and it's hands off. It's hands off. Like, they shouldn't even feel comfortable around us. They shouldn't have no type of comfort in our spaces at all. You know, we got to be on it. You know, let me play this video because, you know, we coming up on Father's Day and people like to throw shade at Black American men, right? So our brother Melrose had to pull up. You know, this should be the standard. Hold on.
Through character. And when you operate through, oh, okay, you're violent. Don't touch me. You good. Have a good day. All right? Have a good day.
Apologize. My bad, because I did something and I didn't know that was your girl, man.
No, it wasn't my girl. That's just a Black woman. That's a woman in general. That's a sister. You know what you did. What did you do?
I mean, I did tap her butt, but my bad.
You what?
I did tap her butt. I'll be honest with it. I did it, man.
You got to go, man. You got to go, man. You got to get up out of here, B. Yo. Hey, yo, he can't shop here no more. Yo, I'm sorry. What?
I got to get back to this, man.
Hold on. Hey, yo. Where the police? Hey, yo.
Come on.
All right, come on. No, man. You out here grabbing women and shit? Hold on. You got to get some accountability. Hey, yo, my man right here. Yo, arrest him. Put him in cuffs. Put him in cuffs.
Show the video.
No, admit what you did. Admit what you did.
All right, I did tap a girl butt in a video, but at the same time,
you hear this? You hear this? Record this. Can you record this? No, you didn't apologize to me. You didn't touch my butt.
I apologize. I apologize to her in the camera.
There's a video. I can show you a video. Pardon me. There's a video where he sexually assaulted a woman that was recording content in the New York City train station. I saw the video earlier today, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And then here you go, he's popping up right here. He just magically pops up right here, and he's admitting to it. So I'm gonna show you guys the video.
Go to the fall precinct. Go to the fall precinct.
Hey, my man, you can't handle this right here. He's admitting to the crime and all that.
All right, man, just do whatever.
Where's the victim? Where is she?
This is the victim. It's on Instagram. She's
but she has to be
for us to do anything. The victim
right? We need the victim.
Come on, look. Let me just apologize, and we settle this.
Yo, my man, get up out of here. Get up out of here.
I'll see you later.
Ain't no see you later, nigga. Get up out of here.
What's the victim?
She's on Instagram. Pardon me? The page name is Rain Report.
So you saw it on Instagram?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So things like that, we need the victim to press charges.
Hey, yo, we trying to hold you down, sis.
Dr. Ron Daniels.
Like I said, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Shout out to Brother Melrose for recognizing him and pulling up. So when I hear people say, oh, Black men, all they do is hang out and they don't do nothing, you a liar. You are a liar. Melrose, he pull up on everybody. He don't give a damn. But you see, 2 immigrant law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
Hands off. Hands off. It's us against everybody. Nobody's saying a goddamn thing. Where you conscious mother effers at? Y'all say shit. Nothing. Walk around with dusty dashikis, but you don't do nothing. looking, watching kids, see who they walking with. He does this for real. He outside. Y'all don't just.
You're so busy calling us xenophobic.
I better not see none of y'all hosting no Juneteenth events. Because it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. So, I'll rest right there. Y'all got any commentary? Let me know.
Hey, Sister Keisha, I put a link into the private chat of the beginning of the show, and where we at right now is a solution. It's a 2-minute video. If you want to show it now, later, it's up to you.
Is it the Facebook thing?
Reel. Yes, a Facebook reel.
I really hate Facebook.
I'm sorry.
You make me go back to kindergarten. When I go in this phase, I feel like I'm in kindergarten. Hold on, I'll try to get it.
Okay.
But in the meantime, while I try to pull that up, I don't want to hear that crap. You know, black men don't do this, don't do that. What your pops did? What your brother doing? Where your cousins at? Where they at? If they ain't doing nothing, the problem is you and yours. But again, the buffer class is protecting themselves. They don't give a damn. I don't even know if that sister's FBA. I have no idea. It's the principal. But just like Brooke had to pull up to the Red Apple Nail Salon, because all them goddamn Caribbeans ain't do a goddamn thing. Until she
gonna do shit.
But you outside waving your goddamn flags. Waving your goddamn flags. With your flag color nail. What do you call them? I don't know. What you call them nails? Acrylic nail designs.
Oh, acrylic, yeah.
You got your acrylic nail designs and your flag up on the parkway, gyrating the funk all over the place. You ain't pull up to them though. But you mad at FBA for delineating. Man, F you. F you. I tell your mama that. Crazy work. Crazy work. And I stand on that because, you know, it's always us. It ain't never no other folks. It's always us. Always. You know? But I'll try to pull up that clip, Black. I'm going to play this one in the meantime. All right? And now I'll try to play yours. I got to go back in the time warp. Oh, God. I can't. All right, hold on. Let me see. Let's share this instead. Well, here we go. All right. We'll play this. We'll come right back.
South or have such a low social status that you simply can't be seen in public with them and still expect to have any respect.
Time to help them try to go get go to barber shop. That's how the American barber know he not the full-blood Chinese. They say don't cut no nigga hair. Just put that way.
Civil rights movement helped the Chinese to attain certain status among the white world, more or less. Whereas we didn't have anything gained in the black world because they didn't have nothing for us to step into. Well, you know, we didn't march. If that's what you mean, why didn't we get out and march? And well, I guess that's what the best answer is that I'm a coward.
See, my people, you know, they think that blacks shouldn't belong with Chinese people. My people want me to marry someone of my own color so that, you know, we have our own color because of the blood. You shouldn't mix the blood up. I don't have anything against you. I don't have anything against any color. And I was raised around black people. I'm not going to turn against black people because my people told me not to. I have my own life to live.
It's considered colored, but it's considered Chinese because it only has Chinese. My father met my mother. It was right after the slaves was emancipated in the South.
I don't think that they will marry black, my children. Personally, I think that Chinese people tend to, you put me on the spot.
This Chinese girl told me that she doesn't trust them. She don't like black kids. She said they don't go with her color because they think they'll steal things and they'll rob people, kidnap and all that. But I don't think like that. I just think like any colored people's my friend, just as long as they get along with me.
Your thoughts, our panel, on that.
And this is the problem. We are too loving and too forgiving. And now everybody is not used to us not being loving and forgiving. We're not forgiving you no more. We're not accepting you no more. We're not loving you no more. You can get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
We're not playing this game with y'all no more. You see how he said that, because I'm trying to find another video for you right now. You see how he said that how much they had to gain from the civil rights when they were always considered white. They went to white schools. They didn't have to sit in the back of the bus. They weren't segregated the way we were. But all that they gained, that's one of the things I said in one of my testimonies. I think that was that Newburgh? I think that was Newburgh, President Devon, where they would, when we were talking about education. And now look how the Asian community is going after the specialized testing, because Black people are saying that they have made specialized testing so unachievable to pass without outside test prep that costs money that that Black people tend to not have. And the Chinese are the one, that's the whole reason for the test in the first place was to make it fair, so that if you pass the test, you could make it in. But if you make the test unpassable by the regular New York school at New York Department of Education standards,
yep,
then now you have put racism in the test. And so now we are seeing that, and we are trying to fight against it. And it is the Asian community that is coming in and saying, oh, because there's one too many Asians. Bitch, the test wasn't for you in the first place. You weren't even a factor. Nothing happened to you on this soil. Nothing happened to you on this land. You shut your. It wasn't for you. And here's the part that pisses me off. Where are the fucking parents? Why am I the only person that's sitting here talking about the history of the test and how it came to be? This is why I stopped fighting for education, because I don't have near a chair. But none of these parents around here, regardless of where they from, because there ain't too many of these parents, because when I worked in the school, none of them kids were foundational Black American. But see, you just got here, so you don't understand the history of the test, and you know you ain't got no motherfucking leg to stand on. That's why you can't fight for it. And you like Mr. Chin. That's what the fuck y'all used to tell me when I sat there and told you I don't eat Chinese food. I don't get my nails done. I don't go to their 99-cent store. I don't go to their fish markets. When I told you that I don't do that, y'all told me Mr. Chin, they never did me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all used to buddying up and fucking Mr. Chin on your islands. You're having your little half-breed Chinese babies with them, and that's why you can't say nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're so busy eating your chop suey and your lao mein and all this kind of stuff, you can't give it up. I'll get a press-on nail in a minute, and I still look good. Press-ons on my toes and my hands, okay? Do it in here on this very same couch I'll be sitting here doing my nails. Because I refuse to be caught dead in one of these Asian nail shops. And let me tell you something. When they beat your ass, because it will happen again. When they beat you, don't fucking call me. Because I'm not saying shit and I ain't doing shit. Just like when I told you I don't eat Chinese food and I don't get my nails done. You told me Mr. Chin don't do nothing to you. I'm going to sit there and look at you and say, what did Mr. I guess you liking your ass whooped. Those are love taps. Y'all love Mr. Chin. That's part of y'all culture. Anything Asian, y'all love it. Sorry.
Speaking of which, on the island of Jamaica, that's one of the ruling families, the Chin family.
Come on, the Chin. That's why they call
the clubs, anything.
Y'all know I'm not making it up because that's what they call them. They call them Mr. Chin. That's how I know, because that's what this is literally what they tell me when after the vid. And a lot of it, because of what I had done, a lot of the nail shops had shut down. What was the next business that they went into? Seafood boils. Y'all was packed in them bitches. Getting that fake fish. They feed fake food to their own people in China. Fake food doused with opium. Look that up. And using sewer oil that they pulling up out the ground in China. That's what they do to their own people. You think they won't feed you fake fish? And I wonder, and y'all don't wonder why the price is so cheap? And y'all don't never think about why the price is so cheap? I seen y'all lining up in there for that seafood. While even the Caribbean fish spots was closing. All the steamed fish spots was closing down. All the Black American fish spots was closing down because they couldn't afford to stay in business. But all of a sudden, Mr. Chin is feeding you the same, supposedly steamed fish at the cheapest price available. Y'all never thought about why? I remember sitting there watching people eat that shit, and I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's good. Mr. Chin ain't never did nothing to me. No. Okay. And that's not, we not doing nothing. See, there was a little girl, a little African girl. I can't remember what town it was in the South, but they found her swinging. Guess what we said about it?
North Carolina.
Not a goddamn thing. Fight for your own, bitch. I ain't saying shit about shit. Now, did that make, when I saw it, did I drop a tear? Yeah. I felt bad for her. I ain't fighting for that hoe. Or her family.
Because when they come here, you know,
they don't fight with us.
And they stay away from us. They rock out with them. And she went to North Carolina and effed around and found out. You went to North Carolina and effed around and found out. You know.
And I'm not gonna fight for
them
her.
Good old boys ain't playing with you.
Yup. Y'all want to go hiking with them. Y'all want to go hunting with them. Y'all want to go swimming with them. Go ahead. Enjoy. Enjoy. Y'all want to take no warnings? Don't take no. Let me tell you something. I'm tired of warning people. You don't want to take no warnings? Don't take no warnings. But this right here, we're going to do something about this. We and our ancestors, because we no more pouring libations to these Africans that sold us. Us and our ancestors are going to take care of this. We don't need your help. We don't want your help. Y'all could go to hell. I'm sick of the buffer classes, and I'm sick of the people who are look.
Take a breath, sis. Take a breath. Take a breath.
Oh, I want to say this one thing. When you were sitting there talking about how, or was it President Devine that was talking about how they had the all Asian police departments, for them to find out in about a year after that, find out that the Chinese had secret police. They did all that, and then had to find out that they had a spy working in Kathy Holcomb's office. a Chinese spy working in Kathy Holcomb's office.
Checks.
Yep. I mean, that's the fatal flaw that's going to happen every time to the system of white supremacy. We are the nose that you cut off to try to spite your face.
Boom.
And is at this point, like Sister Brooke, and Sister Keisha saying, like, we got a circle of wagons around us. Like, even that system kind of, just to bring it back full circle to Brother Melrose, that Najee Range chick is Caribbean. And so I just need people to understand that when you throw out these terms of xenophobia, understand what you know and understand what you don't know. Because if not for foundational Black Americans, none of these fights get fought. And like my sister Brooke just pointed out, and that's why you're seeing certain fights no longer happening. Because if we don't do it, nobody will. We're all them top shotters. We're all the other Caribbean dudes that's supposed to be thorough in New York City. How come they couldn't run up on that dude that touched their kinfolk's butt? But where were they at? For all the people that get online when we going back and forth with them that claim they about that business and wait till we see you in person and all this other bullshit and rah, where y'all was at to protect Najee Raines? And I knew she was Caribbean because in every report she dropping the N-word. And don't nobody overuse the N-word like Afro immigrants. And where were the Caribbeans when Akai Gurley was murdered? They didn't come out in mass. They didn't come out in droves. They didn't come out in force as any Caribbean organizations, and they have plenty.
Plenty.
Where were they at to oppose that Asian officer that assassinated Akai Gurley? And that was my first introduction to the lie that Pan-Africans have told us, that Asians don't engage in the political process. They just do economic, community economics and all that, group economics, and that's it. Every Asian advocacy organization in New York came out on behalf of Peter Liang. And they didn't come out to say, hey, he didn't do it. They came out to say, well, if you don't prosecute the white officers that do it, why you going to prosecute Peter Liang for doing it? That was their argument. I want y'all to understand that. And so this is no shot on our brothers and sisters, but coming out of a fresh space where they were trying to create this division between foundational Black Americans in the South and in the North, I'd be remiss if I don't say this. And South Carolina is one of my ancestral homelands. So let me say that as well. But for all the slander that foundational Black Americans in New York get, when we do or when we don't engage with these buffer groups, the tethers and everybody alike, that community in South Carolina, I would dare to say that probably almost 100% of the Black people down there in that community are foundational Black American. And I'm saying this, I'm not here to criticize you, but I am here to press upon you and for all of us to take heed. Mr. Chow had 3 chances to assassinate one of us. And I need us to understand as we move forward, I'm not saying to blur the lines between right and wrong. I'm not saying that. So I'm not saying we condone any of the people that went into his store to steal. What I am saying, in the same ways in which they went and checked that business owner in Houston, Texas, there are ways to chastise and punish shoplifting or bad doing by one of us. And it should never be condoned that somebody from outside of our ethnic group gets to perform any forms of overkill, no pun intended, with punishing someone from our ethnic group. They stole, you get to call the cops. They stole, you may even get to detain them until the cops come. Mr. Chow should have been retired the first time he picked up his gun to shoot at shoplifters. Full stop. We don't allow anybody from outside our community to take those kind of matters into their own hands without some level of retribution. Now, I'm not saying I'm not saying what that retribution should be, but I'm saying there needs to be retribution when somebody believes, oh, they stole beer and peanuts, so I get to potentially take their life. Or I get into it with somebody else from this community that's a Black American, and because we have a conflict inside the store, I get to shoot him. Those two incidents were the precursors to them assassinating Cyrus and getting away with it. Because when you do it once and get away, you become emboldened. You do it twice and get away with it, now it's a pattern. By the third time, this is just who you are. And this is who Mr. Chow is. And now all I'm saying is what's going to be done to show the rest of us who Mr. Chow was in the past tense. And I'll leave it there.
You know, it's telling, you know, where's the Black Caucus at? Where them Democrats at? Where them Republicans at? Where's National Action Network? Where they at?
The Southern Poverty League.
ACLU, where they at? Where all these folks at? Nowhere. Mom is the word when it comes to these folks, and as Black reminded me a few minutes ago, you had Chinese who were going after lawmakers in this country, but they could because you know why? Who's funding their campaigns? Remember a few episodes ago, I talked about how the Chinese is funding both sides of the aisle. So that's why they don't say nothing. That's why they're quiet. And that's why they can use them as their weapon in this purge. Call it what you want, but that's the way I see it.
Yep.
That's how I see it. You know. Let me see if I can play this clip that Black said. Hold on. Give me a second.
World, gang. It made folks weird as hell. I ain't gonna lie. Power's low-key hard till folks start hunting us.
Curfew is active. Everybody inside. What is our block? Why y'all always pulling up acting tough? You deaf? You pushing me like you bulletproof or something? Officer down! Requesting backup!
Neutralize targets.
Alright, D, I'm gone! Love y'all boys, but hell no!
They still think we regular people. Let them think that.
They're mutants! What? I can't see them!
Interesting animation, but you know, we already know what it is, and that's why they move in these isolated circles, because they know how we really get down. They know how we really get down. You know, keep it in line with real life. You know, they know what time it is. Now, in this situation with our brother, who is about to start his trial, Karmelo Anthony, I'm already annoyed.
Yep.
Because if you have an all-white jury, why didn't they ask for a change of venue? I mean, if somebody heard something that I didn't hear as of today, nobody asked for a change of venue. Nobody asked for a special prosecutor. If they not asking for a change of venue, because the way it seems to me is the prosecution is stacking the jury. So I need a special prosecutor in this case. I don't trust you. You know, you have that right. I don't know why or if they hadn't. This is suspect to me. And they always give instructions in the courtroom, right? There's no cameras. Those who are reporting sit in a separate room, watch via a monitor. You can't look at him. He can't look over at you. That's a problem. Because I know how these courtrooms are stacked. This case reminds me of the John White case a little bit. You know, and people have testified or witnesses have come forward on behalf of Karmelo Anthony. Hold on. Let's play this and we'll come right back.
Karmelo Anthony case, and I have to let y'all hear this because this is the piece I have been missing, that I have been waiting for the witnesses, for the students around the situation to see what happened, and this is what he had to say.
Trying to get back to their cars, or
this is the witness.
Get in, you know, places where they, you know, wouldn't get all extra wet. Dude was sitting up on the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah.
He's talking about Karmelo.
I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity, so I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So, dude walks up, McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent.
He's talking about the twins.
Over there. They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone, just trying to get dry.
Karmelo was on his phone.
They went from another. They grabbed this man.
Grabbed him.
They tried to punch on dude. Dude went in
Yep.
there, and what they went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened.
Mind you, this man does not know Karmelo.
It was both of them, bro. Austin, that dude that got unalive, and his brother, physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is
wasn't on school property.
Miles away. It was community track meet, bro. It wasn't a school track.
Huh. So you got witnesses who coming forward disputing what the prosecution is saying. How come the prosecution ain't talk to these witnesses? That's because you stacking it. You're stacking it. That's what's happening here. They are stacking it. So I would demand a change of venue and a special prosecutor, because I can't get a fair trial here. I can't get a fair trial here. Something's wrong.
Who would you demand that from? Like, would you go to the judge and demand that?
You can go to the judge, or you can go to the attorney general of that state. You got to get a special prosecutor. Something is wrong here. I don't trust the prosecutor. He's already stacking the jury. There are no peers of my client in that jury box.
Okay.
So why aren't you doing that? I don't know. Maybe they did today. I don't know. But I haven't heard it. And this is still the beginning stages, but I want to let it go that far. I want to let it go that far. You know, Chokeway and Lumumba wouldn't have let that go that far. Automatics wouldn't have let it go that far. You know, Johnny Cochran wouldn't have let it go that far. No, you gotta get a special prosecutor here. I don't trust you. You stacking juries. Something is not right here, sir. So, you know, I don't know why they didn't. They should. Two, this case has already gotten so much press as it is, especially in that state, right? Because you got protesters who are outside. The jury has to walk past those protesters. They have to see them, even though they asked to stand across the street, but you still see them. You know, we live in a social media age. I'm sure they viewed it. You know, they may tell the judge no. As a matter of fact, you had 3 jurors who were excused because they said they couldn't be fair and impartial. They were excused. So this is troubling right out the gate.
Can I ask you something right on the spot? I just sent a text about it, but we might as well like get it out there right now. How about we start an email letter writing campaign to the attorney general and the judge to, you know, for them to have a special prosecutor. If we, because this is something we've been successful with our email letter writing campaigns. We could start that. Do you think it's too late for something like that?
It wouldn't go to the judge. It has to go to the prosecution office. Whoever
So
that
prosecution,
the prosecutor, it has to go to him, right? And it has to go to that state's attorney general. I don't know who that is, but we can look that up.
His name is
So
Ken
you guys-
Paxton.
So you guys, you guys in the whatchamacallit, in the audience, stay clear. Stay tuned to broadcalltoaction.com. That will be added within the next couple of days. That's going to be added on there because our legislative session is coming to a close. We'll find out the conclusion of that part. So this is the next part. So we'll start on that because
also we got to add their state senators and Congress people the same way we do with ours. Because we have to put that out there. Something is not right here.
Okay.
Something is not right. And I don't know. Well, you know.
Look, we don't know what's going. Somebody's talking about his legal counsel. We don't know what's going on with his legal counsel, but we're gonna do what we could do.
We saw legal counsel. Oh no, we didn't see him. That was
the other case.
Yeah, the other case. But I don't know who his legal counsel is here.
I wanted to ask you a quick question about that other case.
It's Googleable. We can find it.
Yeah, we'll find it. We gonna find it. I wanted to ask you a question about the other case, right, real quick, while we're on the subject of law. You said that they should have charged him because this looks like to me like, you know, a similar situation, and the fact that the prosecution is not doing their job, but pretending as if they are, you know, fighting the case with vigilance and fervor, but in actuality they are not. You said that Mr. Chow should have been charged with manslaughter, right? If he was charged with manslaughter, because I heard somewhere that because he was charged with murder, that you're not allowed to bring in your prior bad acts. If he was charged with manslaughter, would his prior bad acts been and that's why they didn't charge him with manslaughter, because they didn't want those prior bad acts to come in into play. And see, this is how we see that you know, that white tea supremacy is on, that plays every side of every argument. So now they can blame it on Mr. Chow, but in actuality, white supremacy, they didn't charge him correctly. They did, you know what I'm saying? So that they could not bring the case that would have probably gotten a guilty verdict. And so this is what we have to, this is why I really want to do this email letter writing campaign, because we have to do all that we can do from here without being attorneys, from here to try to keep this from happening again. So so everybody look out for that, because we definitely President Devon, can we work on it? Yeah, anyway, we'll talk after that. We're gonna work on that tonight.
Behind the scenes.
Right, we're gonna work on that tonight, because
we'll power out on this, so we can get it done this weekend if possible.
Yeah, because and I did see somewhere, now it was interesting to me also. I'm back on the our Karmelo Anthony case. That they released 2 Black teachers, they said, as jurors because of the school connection, but it didn't happen on school grounds. Is that legal to do that when it didn't even happen on school grounds? Like, what does being a teacher have to do with anything?
That's what I'm saying. Did anybody hear this witness? Was this witness questioned? Because according to him, his child also participated in that track meet, and he saw the whole thing go down. So I don't know if he was questioned or not. But yes, you have a right as a prosecutor and a defense attorney to eliminate jurors whom you deem can be harmful to your case or your client. So, they probably said, well, these teachers, they feel a certain way in dealing with children. I don't want her on the case.
Right.
But one of the jurists that's on the case is a white lady. She's a teacher, or let's say educator. I don't know if she's a teacher. Because not every educator is a teacher per se.
Mm-hmm. So if that is so, if they have a Caucasian woman on the jury who is an educator, then that just proves my point that they're stacking the jury.
Right.
It just proves my point. They're stacking the jury. And I've seen this many times, how they can stack a jury. And that's why you have to have an attorney worth his salt, knowing how to navigate through that. Believe it or not, a lot of attorneys are afraid to do real battle with the state. They are afraid. So that's just the realism of it. And that's why a lot of people get railroaded. You're not going to find too many attorneys like Colin Moore or Joe Mack or Alton Maddox or Chokwe Lumumba or Johnny Cochran. You're not going to find too many like that these days. Just look at Benjamin Crump. You ever seen him litigate in a case in the courtroom? So this is what it's come to. A lot of people, and actually, Sister Pat is in the chat. In New York, the district attorney used to tell Black lawyers, you don't want what happened to Maddox happen to you. This is just a fact. So a lot of people are afraid. Like I said before on this program, there have been several, too many to count, federal commissions and state commissions, and all have come back and said that these courts are infested with racism. Now, let me tell you what's key that a lot of people miss with elections. Judges are elected. And some people go right down the line, Democrat down the line. You know these judges? What's their record? What's their track record? Did you just mark them in or skipped it altogether? And that's the one office you should be key on. Only the federal ones are appointed. But this is what you should be focused on. These state judges. You ever see them campaign?
Barely.
You ever seen these judges campaign for their office? They ain't campaigning. Because they know you are dumb as a box of rocks to not even look and even think, to look at these judges in their record. That's the first thing I look for when I go to the polls. Who are these judges on the ballot? Let me look at them. One of the prosecutors in the Ricky Chow case, he was a teller. Oh yeah, he was definitely a teller. Definitely. Matter of fact, boom. There you go. Divine Nine.
Oh, that was Ricky Chow's lawyer, right?
Sean Kent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. He was defense attorney.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, they gonna move with who gonna move with them. You know, that's how it works, unfortunately. And we got a child's life that's weighing in the balance. So,
and they need to make his life uncomfortable in South Carolina.
Very
uncomfortable. And if he moves to another state, he needs to be uncomfortable there too. Let him go back wherever he came from.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy work. It's crazy work what's happening. But again, these things happen consistently in election years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we forget about that, but we shouldn't. But anyway, family, we got to move on. So we had another hearing here in New York, in Harlem. Just that commission and all of their connections to all of these various organizations, including some that Brother Devon said had themselves baked into the bill. That's a conflict of interest.
Should be.
You know, how you got these legacy organizations who the U.S. Freedmen Project worked so hard to get them out of the goddamn bill, but they got representation on the committee. You know, Wig ain't by herself. Why they keep letting this hard wig lady get up and run her mouth? Because she got backing.
And I had to do a whole presentation.
For what? For what with her grinning ass? For what? Then this hearing, they got her running her mouth. But we're going to play some testimony from some of the folks. Harlem showed up and showed out. But again, you got people trying to crowbar into it. Crazy work. Crazy work. Let me see. I have it queued up. Hold on. Let me play. Give me a second. There we go.
The Bird. I'm not sure what's happening with this microphone, but thank you, Mr. Bird. Next, we have, I want to make sure we did call Richard E. Scott Jr. because Richard E. Scott Jr. Had the mic too. So you can go after Miss Paris Green after we get the microphone. So after Paris Green, if Richard E. Scott Jr. is here, you will follow her. Okay. We're going to just make sure the microphone is good for you.
Here's my height.
All right. So if we could get the timer up, and at least for me, it's working.
Do what you do. Do what you do.
All right, let's go.
Reparations are an unpaid debt owed to the living descendants of people who were enslaved in the United States. The debt accounts for both U.S. chattel slavery and the multi-generational systems of harm imposed on their bloodlines post-emancipation. These systems created an unbroken chain, leading back to stolen wealth and land. Lifetime direct cash payments is the starting point. Our ancestors' forced labor built the foundation of the economy. Banks, corporations, industries, universities, and families continue to benefit from that wealth, while descendants for generations have worked to earn what should have been paid and passed down. No one is owed reparations in this country for being of African descent or for their ancestors being enslaved outside of the United States. Genealogical records and government actions prove eligibility and harm. Yet, Senator James Sanders, Assemblywoman Michael Salages, and their 48 co-sponsors chose to expand reparations beyond living descendants to benefit any New Yorker of African descent for vestiges of U.S. chattel slavery. Governor Kathy Hochul sanctioned this unconstitutional framework when she signed those bills into law in 2023. This commission was formed in 2024 and given $5 million. This is now the 20th public hearing. You collected 200 hours of public testimonies for 2 years, yet we haven't seen your work besides your amendment that deprioritizes speakers and the reduced speaking time limits. How convenient, since each year you beg for more time to do the work. Hoku pushed your 2025 deadline to 2027, and now it's 2029, and granted you protection from being sued. This is supposed to be reparations, yet you've admitted that you still don't have a definition for the word. This operation is like a failed heist in plain sight. You need to rename yourselves the New York State Commission of Harms and add this sanctioned operation to the final report. Sorry, as the final report.
Thank you.
Man, shout out to Sister Paris. She wasn't playing no games. She wasn't playing no games. You know, but the team gonna come later. But this is what it was. A lot of shit got called out during this hearing. A lot of stuff got called out. A lot of groups got called out, as they should, because they're problematic. They're problematic. So, you know, you see my sister Brooke, Brother Devon, and myself, you know, 3 the hard way. You never seen that film? You should. 3 the hard way. But anyway, the family showed up. The family showed up. I wanted to continue, and then we'll come back with Sister Brooke and Brother Devon's commentary. Hold on.
Next we have Aisha Smith. Next we have Aisha Smith. If we can reset the time. Hello? Can we get this microphone working here?
1 2 1 2.
Okay. Can we set the timer? Let's go.
All right. So even though I'm from Brooklyn, East Flatbush, shout out to Harlem. All right. As June 10th approaches, we are reminded that emancipation without repair is incomplete freedom. Black Americans have awaited generations for justice. The harm is documented. The wealth stolen is documented. The debt is documented. So the question is no longer whether reparations is owed. The question is, when will we be paid? Reparations are debt owed, not a charity, not a handout, not another study, not another delay. We are talking about slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, land theft, discriminatory government policies, and generations of Black wealth and opportunity. So we are also calling for stronger and anti-Black hate crime bill and safeguard for Black American children with child welfare system. The issue is no longer acknowledgement. The issue is accountability. At the last hearing, he's not here, Commissioner Ron Daniels suggested expanded eligibility beyond Black Americans' descendants of U.S. slavery to a broader Pan-African Caribbean framework. I respectfully disagree with that. The harms being examined were inflicted by the United States on the Pacific population, and the remedy must be matched to that population. Reparations must remain lineage-based and enforceable. If eligibility is unclear, just another delay. Pacific harm requires Pacific remedy. Verification standards must be consistent and enforceable to prevent fraud and ensure payments reach eligible recipients. So the questions are simple. What is the dollar amount? What is the timeline? What is the payment mechanism? And when will payments begin? Directly deposit into my account within the next 24 hours. Also, America finds money when it chooses to. Yet when Black Americans are owed a debt, I'm hearing 3,000 excuses. We are no longer asking, we are demanding implementation. We are demanding that this debt is to be paid. No check, no vote. The harm has been proven, the debt has been established. So when are you going to cut the check? Not later, not another report, not another decade. Cut the check now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to DW doing the damn thing. But for those who don't know, there was some media interaction. And I'll let Brother Devon expound upon that.
Yeah, so this was media from actually the Hempstead hearing. Myself, Sister Brooke, and others in attendance were actually interviewed by a representative and journalist from Fox News, its digital format. So what I will say is what I said for the original article on the left, where it says some Black New Yorkers demand cash payments as only true form of justice. And this is kind of I love that this is happening, that it happened, because it is a microcosm of the foundational Black American plight in the US, right? Like not just in New York, in the USA. Because on the one hand, it took Fox News to be the news outlet, the only news outlet since this commission has been convened, to fully encapsulate what the grassroots position is on reparations, that it has to be lineage based, that it has to be direct compensation, direct cash payments to those of the eligibility class. But in true Fox News fashion, they wrote 2 articles on the same hearing. So it's not like it's a different hearing or there's a different day. These are 2 articles recounting the same day. So on the left, you see we're talking about cash payments, and on the right, it frames it as if there's some chaos that erupted and we as Foundation Black Americans were warring with some left-leaning groups, which did not happen. And so in the same way in which these left-leaning magazines and these left-leaning media outlets won't cover opposition at all because they understand how powerful it is and what that will do to their narrative, you have the right that will publish and document our position, but to the ends at which they could use it to push their agenda, right? And so the truth has always been somewhere in the middle of these 2 warring factions of left-wing white supremacy and right-wing white supremacy, right? But to give this brother just give him his the respect and honors that he is due. Though the spin on the article on the right, that headline is way out of line, in my opinion, based on what happened. What I will say and give him his credit for is that nowhere in either of these 2 articles does he misrepresent the position of the U.S. Freedom Project, myself, and Sister Brooke in here. So I will give him that credit. What they did do, though, is hone in on Brother Aubrey Muhammad. He was an activist that came from the Hempstead area with that hearing being done in Hempstead. And I believe they highlighted him because he made more comments toward the position and agenda they want to push in regards to Democrats and immigration. And so they used him as the main picture and used his testimony as the first person you hear on the video he shot, even though myself and Sister Brooke are on that video as well. And then in the second article, as well as in the article that was done by the Daily Mail that essentially just copied these 2 articles, they highlight him explaining that in Hempstead, the Democrats dumped a whole lot of illegal migrants into his neighborhood, into that area of Hempstead, that has accelerated gentrification. And he kind of used the words that they use about they came and brought them in to replace us. So, they have used our truth to push their agenda. But like I said, I will give him credit that he did not misrepresent us or say, oh, that the U.S. Freedom Project said, it's about migrants or it's about illegal aliens. He didn't do any of that because we did not say those things. And I will give him credit for that. But I wanted to make sure, and I'm glad you highlighted this, to show the family how the only media that we can 100% depend on and count on is the new Black media, like Thorough Black Talk, like, a Doggy Diamonds, like somebody, like a Tariq Nasheed, like, the Black Channel and Professor Black Truth, and others. I won't try to get to name all of them because I'm going to miss somebody and I don't want to do that. But all of the new Black media that's sprouting up and on the rise, like the Afro Elites, like the Black Alpha Network, there are channels the church. I said I'm not gonna name it. I'm trying to, but you know what I mean. All these outlets and all these independent media outlets of our people reporting on our people. Those are the only ones that are going to tell the truth and tell it like it is, and protect us as a lineage and keep our message true and on point. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Sister Brooke, your thoughts on the commentary from those who aren't of the lineage that was recorded in Harlem. What are your thoughts on that?
The commentary from those who weren't from the lineage. Were there many people there who weren't from the lineage in Harlem? That our voice was overwhelmingly loud.
That's why I asked the question. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Because I'm thinking back, I'm like, now, because if you just said Hempstead, then I would have known who you was talking about. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was thick. There was a family reunion. Me and President Divine, it almost took us an hour just to get out of there because everybody was, it's like, hey, and it was just so much love. It was like a family reunion. So there wasn't many voices that did not say the same thing that we're saying, that it needs to be lineage based. That was the overwhelming, and that's what was so beautiful about it. What's interesting is that how other places they're constantly talking about New York, especially New York City, being inundated with immigrants, those legal and illegal. But you wouldn't have been able to tell at that Harlem hearing because we was in the heavy, okay? And so it was just testimony after testimony of us advocating for us and in the place where we needed to be. And the Pan-Africans, as usual, were nowhere to be found. Dr. Ron Daniels, where you at? Where was he at? Not there. Jennifer Austin Jones. I realized Jennifer Austin Jones ain't come outside since you told her who her family lineage was and church that she came out of. I see she ain't popped her head up since, so she don't come out. Lori Daniels Favors, she didn't even come out in her mask. She liked to wear a mask because she's scared, so she didn't come out. So these commissioners who thought they were going to have a cushy position just sitting on this commission and be able to parlay that into another position somewhere else, they're catching hell, and they're catching it so much that they're not even in attendance anymore, and in Harlem no less, right, at the Urban League no less. They were like, nah, we already know what's about to be popping here. And they, also was outside handing out flyers. I talked about how they hired a street team that could not speak English to give out flyers to the community, and the community came out. So not the community I think they wanted, but the community that should be there, the actual lineage community that has a actual stake in reparations is what came out and showed out. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of our FBA family for coming and holding it down.
Heavy. Since you mentioned the street team, before we continue with testimony, again, shout out to Melrose.
Yeah.
Hold on.
They're gonna stick with me. We're in Harlem. We're amongst black people. That ain't gonna work. Hey yo, she says I'm harassing her. Yeah, you are. Who gonna do something? That doesn't work, man. We're in Harlem. Harlem knows that I'm a good brother. They know I'm not hostile. They're not about to fall for your tether lies and your tether babble. Next shirt. Your little Asian friend, yo, ma'am, get her. Look.
See the shirt they got on? That's a commission shirt with the logo and the right and everything. What did I tell y'all? Huh? Hold on. Let's continue.
You know she's not in harm. You know y'all not being harassed. Y'all can go about your business, but you're not gonna paint a false narrative.
No,
so yeah, we're
you
gonna
are
be out here.
on me. Thank you.
Ma'am, you have an accent. You're not from this country.
That's not your problem whether I have an
yes,
accent.
it is, because when
it's
you're
not your
passing
problem.
out
You don't know me,
reparations
okay?
information and you're not qualified to receive those reparations, and then you're hostile towards the people who are
Yes, call the
qualified to
police.
receive those reparations,
Yes, call the
that
police.
becomes a super issue. Ma'am, you're gonna get
You are
deported
ju- you are
if you
just
fuck
a
around and call the
male- you're
police.
just a male
I'm a
harassing-
black man and you're just
Harassing
triggered.
me, a female.
No, ma'am, that doesn't work, ma'am. Ma'am, you are safe here. This isn't the home country that you fled from.
I am not
This
safe.
isn't the home country that you fled
I am
from.
not safe.
Where the men in your country
I
made
am
you had to
not
flee
safe.
and come here.
I am not safe.
So then go back to your home country where it's
You
safe.
go back where you came from.
I'm from right here.
Africa? So, don't.
Your mother's from Africa, ma'am. I'm
You hear that shit? Go back to where you go, where you from. And listen to the commission has got out in Harlem spreading information. These diabolical roaches, and you know,
Fact.
the Urban League has always been an arm of the Democratic Party since its inception. In fact, you had one commissioner who was a part of the Urban League. She recently quit. But yeah, Mark Marielle. Remember in Staten Island? You had Julianne Malveaux. She too, the Urban League. But hold on.
from right here. I'm a foundational Black American. I'm not from Africa. You can go back to your home country if you're not safe. How about that?
You go wherever you want to go.
Ma'am, I'm from right here.
Sir, just leave me alone. I don't know you. Let's call this about all days. Thank you.
Yeah, you're out here passing out information about reparations that you're not qualified to receive. You're hostile towards the foundational Black Americans. Yo, y'all go about y'all business. Go. You're dismissed. Go. Go.
You are this.
Yeah, all right. So,
let's call the police.
yo, call the police. Call the police. Call the police. Go ahead. Call the police. Scream, 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 scream. Say, oh my God, help. Scream, scream, scream. Tell the whole world. Let the whole Harlem world know you in danger. Let them know you're being harassed.
You're the one acting weird.
And these are the people that they have passing out information about reparations. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what we're up against, and this is why we say no check, no vote. They got timid, hostile, triggered tethers up here trying to go into play Cassie. They're trying to go into Cassie mode.
You're the one that sounds very
Ma'am, I don't speak Mexican. You got to speak English. I don't speak Mexican.
Oh, Mexican. Okay. You're a racist. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't speak Mexican. You're going to have to go back across the border with that. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people that's supposed to be, you know, handling our reparations.
This is nuts. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. Everybody want a crowbar. And you see the shrimp fry right there next to her. But this is what we're dealing with. Like the shirt say, FBA against everybody. Because this is what it is. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Let's continue with the testimony. Because, you know, you have some people with a Pan-African mindset. You know.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And I'm still having struggles. And we also have 3 virtual individuals. Are we ready for those 3 virtual? I have Kathy Dean, Keisha Forrester, and Yvonne Anderson. If those 3 are ready, or if you can get them ready while I prepare the next individuals. Is Cato Stevens in the building? Okay, Cato, you are next. And then after that is Bill Harris and Nahima Rowe.
You see the lady with the short afro over there who works with the conservatory? The black sweater or whatever that is?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Linda Tanton Reed.
Right. She is heading communications. So did she find these tethers? This is the person I addressed when I mentioned Doggy Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is who it is. So I want y'all to see who these people are. Hold on.
It's yours. Yes, come on up.
Pieces and blessings, everyone. Alafia. My name is Cato Stevens. I'm one of the chiefs of Il Kata. We're a Pan-African and pro-Indigenous society. I go by Cato partly because my grandma's Geechee. My family's been coming from North and South Kakalaki to New York for 4 generations. Jimmy Cato was an Angolan revolutionary in South Carolina. One of the first slave rebellions was by an African in South Carolina because Africans have been here the whole time. And most of us are descendants of Africans. Furthermore, we're always talking about this 40 acres and a mule. We never mention the Gullah Geechee corridor. That statement of 40 acres and a mule is from a special order that designated North Williamsburg, Carolina to like South Florida, Jacksonville, specifically as land for Black people. As Black people, the government has already admitted that we have heritage lands that should be for Black people specifically. And I do not see us as a group of people advocating for that. Secondly, immigrants are not stopping reparations. Like I can't remember the last time like a Nigerian or a person from St. Vincent has actively gotten in the way of reparations. The number 2 obstacles for reparations are ourselves and the people who run this country. There are not enough Black immigrants to be prioritizing this amount of time on them. No, I mean, I agree, but like the Black Caucus in California is full of Black Americans. If Black Americans don't hold each other accountable, nothing's gonna happen.
All right. First of all, can we just pause for 1 second? Because I think there are new people that walked in the room. And so we said that we would be a certain way. We can stop his time and we can restart it. So we said that we would be a certain way, and that's changed. And so we have to honor that. We said we would not do that. And so I know there are new people that walked in the room and maybe they didn't hear that, but we're not going to do that. Okay. So let's honor the mic, whether we agree or we disagree, but we're going to honor the person. So Mr. Cato, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to say there's 40 million African Americans. That's more African Americans than natural born Canadians. We are one of the largest ethnic groups of Black people in the world. We are the most well-known group of Black people in the world and one of the most powerful groups of people. I think the main issue is the lack of imagination and belief in ourselves, as well as the very real systematic issues that we're facing. But if 40 million people come together, there's nothing this country can do to stop us. I think there's already been enough research. We've already had committees. New York City, New York State has a beautiful history of revolution. Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, was the head of the New York Black Panthers. Tupac is from New York. We had in Cobra, we had Shirley Chisholm. There's a beautiful history of revolution and liberation in New York City, and we already know what we need to do in terms of reparations. We just need to galvanize the people and actually address the issues. And we need reparations now. The affordability crisis is at an all-time high. Nobody can afford anything. We can't afford to rent. We can't afford to own. We can't afford our medication. So we need immediate reparations, immediate reconciliation, and long.
This pan goofy babble. In Cobra, you know, everything but us, but at the same time, demonizing us. At the same time, this is what I'm talking about. Now everybody Gullah Geechee. My peoples don't know you. They don't know you. What's your name? What's your family name? We don't know you. What you talking about?
When he said Kakalaki, I was like, where are you from? Who says that?
Exactly. Shirley Chisholm. And that, I mean, come on. Man. But this is what's happening. This is what's happening. That thing pissed me off to no end. No end. You know, and people just spewing nonsense. Let me skip ahead. Hold on.
I'm Nehemiah. Please forgive me. And you have a decent handwriting. I apologize. Mr. Roll, you're next. I apologize.
Hold on. Then we got this group right here. The goddamn bow ties representing Cyrus Muhammad. Who the hell are you to go to the UN and try to change my identity? Who the hell are you? This is what I'm talking about. Everybody got their hands out so they can get dibs on money. Who told you to go to the UN and change my identity? I know what my identity is. But this is what we're dealing with. I want y'all to see this shit in real time.
Okay, greetings, everybody. Thank you for accepting me today. Listen to my comments. The government has been playing with our people. We are demanding reparations for the lingering effects of slavery, chattel slavery, Jim Crow laws, and now redlining and disenfranchisement. The John Conyers bill, H.R. 40, which is a study of the impact of slavery and systemic racism, and it was recommended to appropriate remedial remedies. It has been sitting there since 1989, 37 years ago. Cyrus Muhammad has given his first oral statement before the subcommission on promotion and protection of human rights in 1998, and has since then given 7 more oral statements up until 2006. Cyrus Muhammad is bringing forth our case for our identity as Afro-descendants and reparations for the lingering effects of slavery. The working group in the UN, the United Nations, has accepted our name, Afro-descendants. The term Afro-descendants means people who descended from people who were forcibly dispossessed of their homeland, Africa.
Bingo. Here we go. Everything is centered on Africa. No, when we get our money from the US, Africa is next. And I would encourage y'all to go to slavevoyages.org. They continuously add more information. Click on the voyages. They give you a virtual presentation as to where those ships went from that area. Look at the number of Nigerians that were sold off. And you want to crowbar these cocksuckers into our reparations? Who the hell told you to change my identity? Who the hell is Cyrus Muhammad? But see, this is what the pan goofies do. You got to watch them. Piss me off to no end. My head started hurting. And normally we get to communicate in the chat on Zoom. They shut that down. Let's bring our sister Kathy Dean up on.
Is Tyrone Hunt in the room? Okay. Thank you. Okay. And after Tyrone Hunt, we'll have the individuals that are on in virtual. So, I thought we weren't doing visuals. Yep. So Tyrone Hunt will get the, if we could please put the time up for him so he can see that.
Ready?
We're ready for you.
Okay, hello. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. So we talk about reparations. We are not here for a handout. We're talking about a debt for Black American freedmen. New York had slavery. Enslaved Black American freemen helped build these roads, build all the roads, the ports, the farms, estates, businesses, schools, all wealth. Towns was built from Black American freemen. Towns like Manhasset, Phillipsburg Manor, Van Coyle, Lloyd Manor, Sylvester Manor, Seneca Village, Weeksville, Sandy Ground, Hamptons, all the proof that Black American freemen were building here. How much proof and study do we need to know that we are owed reparations? Japanese got paid, Jews got paid, 9/11 victims got paid, and now Gen 6 is being paid. With no waste of time of hearings, meetings, or anything. And this is from the government specifically. And Black American freemen were also harmed by laws. Slavery was a law. I don't think y'all heard me. Slavery was a law, okay? Stolen labor was protected by law, including more laws like exclusion from voting, land owning, proper housing, potential banking, major education, wealth building was all enforced by law to gatekeep us from building as a community to stay substantial to this day. Reparations should go to Black American freemen who are descended to the enslaved people, and it must be lineage-based only, no other way around it. Thank you.
Next we have, and I apologize because I can't read the writing, but it's Brother Carrie LT.
As Black Americans have delineated for a reason. Direct cash payments in 2026. We're not falling in line behind 2029. New York, you owe.
Can we get the time back on the screen? Can they see that? See that? Thank you.
Chanel, just remember I love you. That's all.
All right, let's go.
My name is Divine Prince, and I'm the current president of the U.S. Freeman Project. I had an elder after one of these hearings ask me, why did we start the U.S. Freeman Project when all these other organizations exist? I'm going to come back to that. As we sit in this state-of-the-art $242 million palace to the Urban League, of which the state of New York paid $20 million, while its commission got $5 million to stretch, let's go to their origin story. On September 29th, 1910, the Committee on Urban Conditions Among Negroes was founded by Ruth Standish Baldwin and Dr. George Edmund Haynes. It merged with the Committee for the Improvement of Industrial Conditions Among Negroes, which was founded in 1906, and the National League for the Protection of Colored Women, founded in 1905, and was renamed the National League on Urban Conditions Among Negroes, with Haynes serving as the organization's first executive director. And before anyone tries to play the racial politics they are pulling on us today, let's look at that Negro population of that day. As per the Census Bureau in 1910, 99.2% of all Black Americans, or the Negro population, were native born, with only 60% of white Americans being native born at that time, but that's a story for another day. Some have even referred to the Urban League as the State Department of Civil Rights, as the Urban League focused on the socioeconomic front. They were established to assist the waves of Black Americans migrating to northern cities during the Great Migration by helping them find jobs, housing, and adjust to urban life. So the question becomes, did something happen to those Black Americans, or did something happen to the Urban League? Did all the conditions plaguing Black Americans get solved, or did the Urban League betray its mission? Let's look at their mission statement today. I quote, "To enable and empower African Americans and others in underserved communities to achieve their highest human potential and secure economic self-reliance, parity, power, and civil rights." We found our answer. In fact, when thousands of everyday Black Americans, many from urban areas, attended and presented to the OMB that Black Americans need their own category due to being lumped into the African American catch-all racial category created by the OMB in 1997, Mark Marial, the $1 million a year Urban League president, came in at the close of the OMB listening sessions and sabotaged the disaggregation delineation progress Black Americans have made on our own. He called for a stalling tactic of making no determination for another 90 days while he built the Urban League's case to make sure Afro-Latinos and other immigrant groups were represented. No advocacy for those Negroes the org was founded on, though. For any that want to have copies that you can have. So the U.S. Freedom Project was born because all those orgs have abandoned their original mission. They collude together to keep us stuck in illegal race-based coalitions, not because they know, not because they don't know, but because they're paid and rewarded to do so. Ethnocide is a badge and incident of slavery. There is a social Black American Renaissance and a political American freedom Renaissance already underway based on lineage and pride in our ethnic group. We will have political autonomy. So I ask a question. Will you legacy orgs get back to your roots, or will you wither on the vine as Black Americans rid our politics of traitors, gatekeepers? And I land.
Man, the president came in. And just for clarity, when Joe Biden had that meeting with all these so-called Black leaders, Mark Marial bitch ass was in there too. The Urban League was represented. But go ahead.
Man, and I'm glad you brought that up, because in that meeting, that leaked audio where Joe Biden said, hey, y'all have my back, I'm going to have y'all back. And then he stabbed them in the back and in the front on that Zoom in their face. And Mark Marial and the rest of those leaders ain't have shit to say when he told them, y'all better get with the Hispanics if y'all want some stuff for y'all. Y'all want these universal program crumbs. That's all you getting. That's how I'm going to have your back. But then he was in that interview with his fellow shill, Karen Hunter. And when she asked him about that $1 million a year salary, he got spicier with her than he got with Joe Biden. And walked off her program. He said, hold on, I'm not about to answer that question. And why are you asking me that question? He got upset when she was asking, hey, what does this $1 million a year do? And how can you justify it? And what are you doing for the people as the president of the Urban League that says you deserve $1 million every year? And so, in addition to the pan goofiness that you were talking about, and I'm glad you pointed it out too, because notice, I want y'all to always notice that there will always be a varying level of disrespect. Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. But the disrespect and disdain for our ethnic group is never far from the lips of a Pan-African when it's time to talk about what we need to do or how we get to where we going. Notice he said, there's no immigrant group that's against us. The issue is us. The issue is us. Despite the fact that we have documented and laid out all the Afro-immigrant tools of white tea supremacy that ails us and is currently stopping us, including on that very commission, but none of them are doing it. It is mind-boggling, because thank God I've never been subjected to that level of indoctrination. But there is a level of psychosis that has to be able to have taken over your mind for you to ignore all documented proof of a group that is undermining you, to only go back to your own group and say that it's them, to the very people that are doing the work. That's what's insane. I was in a space on TikTok, and Sister Brooke was in there in the comments. They muted her in those comments. And I laid out that just because we have domestic, I don't know if you can say the word, but domestic COONS does not and will not ever mean we have to accept the tethers that come over and undermine us because they are a different ethnic group. I said the difference between us and them is that we call them out while the Afro-immigrants allow their tethers to run amok, and they never snatch them down or call them out. And for all intents and purposes, and I'm glad Sister Brooke backed me up after we got out of that space, because I thought I was going crazy. I just knew I laid it out as plainly as can be, for you to clearly understand that I'm calling out our domestic COONS while also calling out the foreign tethers. The host comes on the mic and says, well, what about Clarence Thomas? I said, wait, Clarence Thomas is one of those domestic COONS that I called out. Now, what about the tethers? But what about Clarence Thomas? And how are we going to talk about anybody else but Clarence Thomas? Because there's other people besides Clarence Thomas doing stuff. But what about Clarence Thomas, though? And what about the patriarchy? I said, what? And I'm not kidding. That was the next line. What about the patriarchy? I said, wait, what? How do we, the patriarchy? How do we get the gender? What are we talking about now? And then they blamed me, talking about I brought up gender, and then I was centering myself because I said I never said anything about the patriarchy. And she said, well, somebody somewhere does, so I want to bring it up because we're talking about the community at large. And this is
political,
right? What you said, brother?
Political gaslighting, brother.
Right.
Political gaslighting, my brother. Sorry for the interruption.
No, please. That's exactly what it was. And so we didn't even go down that path anymore. But I'm just letting y'all know that because we are we're so committed and we are so on task and on message, this is the convoluted BS that is gonna come our way in 2026 because it's an election year, and definitely 2 more years later for the full 2 years when we get to 2028. They do not have a legitimate, documented rebuttal to what we are pointing out. But they can't give up their side because their livelihoods, and in most cases, especially when we talk about the Pan-Africans, their very identity is resting on the lie that they need us to believe that we all have woken up from. So what do you do when your entire identity is Black Americans are bad, inept, uneducated, and that's why we need to look to Africa? What do you do when that's your entire shtick? When that's what your entire message and identity is based on, and more foundational Black Americans by the day are waking up to that lie and throwing it back into the pits of hell where it belongs. This is the identity crisis and the dilemma for the pan goofies as we continue to push this renaissance forward. You're going to see many more of them crash out and play in these illogical political gaslighting tactics, like my brother Black just said. So just be prepared for it. And the same way I just disconnected from the room as soon as it got to that point, save your mental states for the real fight that is still before us. There's no need to waste your time in these low-level, low-vibrational, as they say, interactions with people that don't hold any power and won't concede to documented proof anyway. I'll land there.
Real talk, and stay tuned. June 14th. Make sure you follow Thorough Black Talk Worldview. We'll be posting information because we're going to be in the building. It's going to be late night broadcast on another platform. But we're going to discuss all of this. You see, we're going to discuss all this on that platform. It's a late night show, and we're going to share there live on our platform. So you guys will get to listen to it in real time. Let's go to the flamethrower, and then we'll come back with her commentary.
Next, we have Brooke.
Last week, Dr. Ron Daniels of NCOBRA, IBW 21 organizations that have yet to produce a single actionable plan for real reparations decided to float the idea of changing or amending the Constitution to allow race-based law. The short-sightedness of this is unbelievable. If you open that door, it doesn't only open the door for Black people, it opens the door for white people to again make race-based law in their favor. That means the same political forces that Democrats claim to fear, yes, the ones that keep invoking Donald Trump to scare you with, would suddenly have power to pass their own race-based laws. That would undo the entire civil rights framework. How does someone claiming to be a reparations leader not see that? Maybe because these legacy organizations like NCOBRA, IBW 21, December 12th, have been more successful in securing grants and cushy positions for themselves than securing reparations for freedmen. Family, did you know that these same organizations tried to get grants from the commission written in the bill? Their scheme didn't go through because the U.S. Freedmen Project shut it down. I'm glad that Jumaane Williams brought up the set-asides the Republican president put in place for his base with no study and no commission. This is to all the Democrats in the United States. We now know and we now have seen that if you wanted to grant reparations, you could. You just simply didn't. Jerica L. Richardson of the Urban League couldn't or wouldn't even state who the targeted group is. What lineage of children qualifies for these baby bonds? Because we've seen that movie before. Vague terms like underserved and urban get weaponized to divert resources away from foundational Black American freedmen and towards everyone else. And let's not forget the street team that you hired with commission funds. A member of the Harlem street team who could barely speak English had the unmitigated gall to tell a foundational Black American freedman to go back to Africa. This is the type of people that you hiring to reach us? Is this the process? If this is the process to address the badges and incidents of slavery, then start by respecting the people who inherited them. Start by naming the lineage. Start by grounding the remedy in constitutional status of freedmen, not in vague racial categories that can be hijacked by anyone with a clever rant writer. I want the Foundational Black American I want to thank the Foundational Black American Grassroots for funding us to be here today.
Thank you,
and to
Brooke.
my family in the audience, I would like to actually participate and that would actually like to participate in reaching these legislators. Please send emails by going to BREUCK.call-to-action.com.
Turn the mic off.
So that's why she called you five-starter, huh?
That's the flamethrower. Go ahead, Sister Brooke.
I was gonna get that website off. I don't care what she said. I was gonna get that website off. She gonna have to forgive me later. I was gonna get that website out. Yeah, I just find it, and where do I even start with this? Okay. So when I talked, I don't think that people really realize that it was when President Devine was speaking at the hearing in Hempstead that I had what I call, our President Devine knows I call him all the time and be like, I had an epiphany. I have these epiphany moments, right? Where it's just like a light bulb just goes off of my head. And it's just a light bulb went off my head when he was talking about the double-edged sword of being unable to have race-based law. It was initially enacted so that white tea people could not have race-based law. And it is a double-edged sword that now we can't have race-based law. But here's where the epiphany came in for me, is that the fact that Dr. Ron Daniels is trying to amend this or change this, that double-edged sword will come right back to, it'll be a guillotine on our necks, because and in fact, it's a guillotine on the neck of civil rights. Everything that what's his name? Charles Hamilton Houston fought for, everything that Alton Maddox fought for, everything that Adam Clayton Powell Jr. fought for, all of these gains that we got through law would then be reversed. Because if you allow race-based law for this short-sighted small portion of reparations. And I'm saying a small portion because I mean in the greater scheme of things, then YT will be able to make race-based law as well. And so this is the short-sightedness of Ron Daniels when he keeps saying that, oh, well, you people are new here. That's basically what he told us in Hempstead, that we have been fighting for reparations for decades. We've been in this game for a long time. Well, how the hell you been in this game a long time and you don't foresee that happening with what kind of legal minds do you have? Because he sat there and talked about we got lawyers, we got a legal team, we got this. Well, what kind of legal team you got over there? You ain't even got ChatGPT over there, because even ChatGPT would be able to see that. Like, how could you not be able to tell that that's going to come around and bite you on the butt, unless that's the plan? Unless, as we have seen from the Southern Poverty Law Institute, Lord Jesus, I'm constantly messing this thing up. Help me out, Divine. Help me out, Keisha. So it's Southern Poverty Law Center. Jesus Christ. One of these days I'm gonna get it right, but I am my mother's child, okay? So bear with me.
They're not important. Don't worry about that.
I know, but look, I do need to get it right at some point in my life, right? Southern Poverty Law Center. That's what I need to do. Every time you say it, I need to repeat it. That way I can say it right, because every time I go to say it, I say it wrong. Anyway, Southern Poverty Law Center. As we saw from the Southern Poverty Law Center, they are funneling money to the Triple K. So this goes back to our who is now an ancestor now, our ancestor, Neely Fuller, who talked about that white supremacy takes both sides of every argument. And so and then President Devine, I don't remember where we were, but he went, I think that was on ETM Media. He went on further to say that who they're getting funding from, who December 12th is getting funding from, who IBW 21 is getting funding from, the McCarthy Foundation. So as we can see, they are playing both sides of against the middle. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be 100% transparent, and I'm gonna give Dr. Ron Daniels just a little bit of credit. I don't think Dr. Ron Daniels understands the ramification of what he's fighting for. I think he's a do boy and he's doing what he's been told to do. He's not even thinking about the long-term ramifications of what's happening. And so, although I doubt that me explaining that to him will make him see, because ultimately I believe he is loyal to his pockets and not to the lineage. But I don't think that like he willingly, goes in thinking that he's going to, reverse all of the gains of the civil rights movement. But that's what he's trying to do, whether he knows it or he doesn't. And this is why I say, whether the enemy is foreign or domestic, because Ron Daniels is a foundational Black American, and I don't give a fuck. That's why I called him a traitor to his face at the burial ground. I called the man a traitor to his face. So when y'all sit there and talk about we got more smoke for tethers than we got for our own bullshit, I called Dr. Ron Daniels a tether to his face. And if he'd have showed up at the Harlem thing, I'd have told him to his face that he does not understand the law. So, this is the issue, with Dr. Ron Daniels and his short-sightedness or his allegiance to his pockets, that he doesn't even understand what he is doing. And so, and neither do, and to be quite honest with you, neither do the immigrants of that as well, because they don't understand that also will bite them in the butt too. But again, everybody cuts their nose off to spite their face when it comes to foundational Black Americans. But see, we're not going to allow it to happen. And this is why we are closing ranks, because we're going to fight for us. We already see you not going to fight for us, but we're going to fight for us. And when we fight for us, we're not fighting for you on top of that. We're not doing that. We don't have the type of energy. And like, so what President Devine was saying, when you're in these rooms and they start with these disingenuous talking points and muting you, Chow, the only thing I said was that I agree with, because they were trying to talk about how, President Devine was was basically being a misogynist. That's what they was trying to say, that he was being a misogynist. And I had to be like, well, I'm a woman and I'm a black woman and I agree with him, so I don't know what the hell you talking about. And they was like, mute. We don't need that type of black woman talking in our chat. And so, they basically kicked me out right away. One more thing I just wanted to bring up before we keep going, because I want to go back to the articles that the Fox News wrote. I just want to make it clear, right? And I don't have no issues with Audrey Muhammad, personally. He was very, very nice when we met him. But I take a huge issue and I take offense to that $800,000 number. Family, when you come to these hearings, if you don't understand economics, you don't understand exactly what you're saying, please don't start saying shit like that. Do you see how Fox News took that number and ran with it? And now that is plastered everywhere. President Devine and I have been at every flipping hearing since Albany, since the very first one. We have been at daggone near every single hearing. And there's been damn near 20 of them. And the one hearing that there was some form of press at is the one where somebody throws out an arbitrary, ridiculously small number like 800,000. Excuse me, Aubrey, if you're listening, do you really think that $800,000 equates to 350 years of free labor? That's the mic. I'm handing it to you, Mr. Aubrey Muhammad. This is the danger of when you come out saying arbitrary numbers. After he did his interview, there was somebody standing around, like it was security, as a matter of fact. Security was around and they came to me and they was like, are you guys really asking for $800,000? And I don't even believe he was of the lineage. He was like, I don't think that's enough. I said, no, that's definitely not enough, because I didn't hear his interview. I said, that is definitely not enough. He was like, well, how much do you think it is? Let me tell you what my answer was. I'm not an economist. I'm not a mathematician. Therefore, I'm not qualified to speak on what the numbers are. I am very good at speaking on what I speak on, but the things that I don't know about, I will leave that to the economists. Right now, our fight is to make sure that it is lineage based. When it comes down to money, I will hand that conversation over to the economists and the mathematicians, because Brock did not do well in math. Okay, now I do good in money, but I did not do well in math. So I'm not going to sit here and be able to calculate 350 years of free labor with inflation. Nor am I ever going to pretend that I can. And so if you do not have those qualifications, please shut your mouth. Because now you are quoted everywhere at $800,000, and it makes it seem like that is enough, and that's a fucking insult. And that shit is pissing me off. Like I said, me and President Devine been to 20 freaking hearings. This person shows up to one hearing, says one thing, and you running with it. It's all the way over in the UK, the Daily Mail, $800,000. Have you lost your mind? Baby, if all you want is $800,000, that's on you. Don't speak for the rest of us. And I just wanted to say that publicly, that it is known that that number was not sanctioned by us, not agreed on by us. And the rest of the only person who believes that that number that was at those hearings is Audrey Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad. Because his show wasn't agreed upon by the rest of us. And he speaks for himself and himself only. If you want to give him an $800,000 check, then that's on him. Mine better be a lot bigger. You can start with an $800,000 check. But your show ain't going to finish with it. It's going to be more than that. That'll be the first payment of many.
The first payment.
So I just wanted that to be public because it is really like I'm starting to see this number everywhere. Everybody's reposting this number. 800. The New Yorkers are asking, no, the fuck we're not. Audrey Muhammad is asking for $800,000, not me.
Here we go with the bow tie crew. Here we go again with the bow tie crew.
Like I said, he was a very nice gentleman when we met him. And I'm sure he was not, I don't know if he was aware that they was going to run with his number. But since they have, I got to make it plain.
That's why we need Andrew Barnes.
Oh, come on.
To do a presentation. So when y'all see those emails, the last email is try to get Andrew Barnes as a presenter to one of these hearings. But we've come to the end of our program. Part 3 next week, because I want to focus on what Dr. Darity and Kirsten Mullen discussed as well, and the rest of some of the testimony. So get ready next week for part 3. Let's get the folks up out of here. Brother Black, your final thoughts and commentary.
Are you on mute, Black?
Oh, thank you. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was thanking you, Sister Brooke, for your fire, your continued tenacity, your determination, all that goodness. Continue. I love the fire. And any way I can possibly help you, let me know, please. Real talk. I'm being dead serious. Excuse me. I haven't been in New York for a while. I'm being dead ass. My bad.
Thank you. I believe you. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, love. Thank you. With that said, I want to bring up something, and then I'm going to end real quick after that. Something that we didn't address, and it was a very big situation around this year last time, and that is the case of Tyler Butler Chase, who I've been following. Let me remind you who he is. He was the guy that was in the military, and 2 young white dudes came ding-dong ditched, and he went to jail for murdering one of them, shooting the other one, but he got away. He just grazed him, basically. So this guy is still in jail or prison or jail. It has to be jail because he's still in the pre-trial situation, and he's still in jail. He was in the military. He was at home. They came to ring his doorbell 3 a.m, and it seemed like they wasn't just ringing the bell to play pranks and run off. They was trying to kick the door in. You know, so I relate that with all what's going on now because he's still in jail over a year later. This happened last year in May, and I have it on my blog. Anybody who wants to get at me, Basil Medina on Facebook. So what I'm saying is we have to continue watching those kind of cases too. I believe he's FBA. I don't hear much about the case. He was in the military active duty, and I don't know what military he's doing because in such a case at your house, which is a higher, which would involve castle law, he's still in jail over a year later. So with that said, I just wanted to make you aware of that. This happened in Virginia in, I don't remember the name of the town in particular, but if you look it up, Tyler Chase Butler, it'll come up and you'll see what it is. Anyway, with that said, FBA all the way. We having more cosmic events. There's a lot of things going on in the background as far as the new financial system and all of that. And mostly everything that we're seeing out here is a distraction. Peace out to those musicians and singers and celebrities, beginning with Rob Bass all the way up to Peebo Bryson 2 days ago. And much love to New York, to the New York Knicks, to the panel, to those of y'all listening out there, and those of y'all who will listen in the near future. My name is The Blacksmith. Once again, Sister Keisha has on a shirt that I sent her. Me and another sister, FBA sister, put something together, and so if you want it, get at me or her. I'm Basil Medina on Facebook. I'll see y'all next week on the bridge. Peace and love. One love.
Sister Brooke, your final thoughts and commentary.
Well, I think I said everything. I don't really have.
Save for next for part 3.
Yeah, I will say this. Make sure that you check out BrookeCallToAction .com, BREUCK calltoaction.com, because we're I already started I know y'all heard me tapping because I saw Sister Keisha mute me. I was already working on the letter to go to the prosecutor and the state the state attorney general and the senators and the Congress for our brother Karmelo Anthony, because let's see what we could do. Let's see if we could get this special prosecutor. I'm gonna let President Divine get into the details, but continue to send those emails. We have before I go back up, show the picture, show that picture. Yeah, I want to. Can you make it bigger? Can that picture be bigger? I don't know if I could do that. If you can do that from my side, it may not. Anyway, it's okay. When you go, you're gonna see that picture close up. That is Senator James Sanders with a fork snake tongue, because he refused to bring our bill for a vote. He is the East Coast Isaac Bryan. He signed on to author the bill just to kill it. And so now I'm going to run his name through the mud. You piece of shit. You knew why you got on the bill. You got on the bill just to kill it while you sat there. And he's a foundational Black American. So when I tell you foreign or domestic, oh, now it's time. You sat there and you smiled in everybody's face and pretended like you cared about the lineage and what we were trying to do, when all the while you signed on to author the bill to make sure that nobody could bring it for a vote but you. And then when it came time to bring it for a vote, you were silent. Oh, but you're going around and you're doing interviews with everybody, talking about the 2-year extension that you got. You said that, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that we have waited 400 years. What's another 2? Nigga. He is a traitorous son of a bitch. And he's running unopposed. So he thinks he's untouchable. You might be untouchable for right now, but you sure ain't undraggable. And I'm going to drag your ass up and down these social media streets. I'm going to make sure everybody know you's a piece of walking shit in a seersucker fucking suit. And next legislative session, you can kiss my foundational Black ass. We don't want you anywhere near our fucking bills, bitch. Send those emails. This is our last ditch effort to try to make something happen. Although, you know, it doesn't. We got a champion person, Nikki Lucas, that's gonna, you know, help us. I'm gonna let Divine. I'm pissed. I'm gonna let Divine clean that up. Sorry, I tore it up and then left you to clean that. I'm gonna let you clean that up.
He cracks me up every time she calls Cyrus like a suit, because that's what he wears.
Stupid ass suits. Looking. How anybody take you seriously in them stupid looking suits you be wearing? You was a joke walking around Albany looking like a goddamn joke.
I didn't think
you and all of y'all that be wearing them stupid ass suits, because we've been in them halls in Albany, and he ain't the only one wearing them stupid ass suits. All of y'all with those stupid suits. Understand, everybody's laughing at you. You look stupid. Sorry, I'm done.
I didn't know anybody under 40 threw that crazy sucker. I haven't heard that since probably the 90s.
And that's why I looked at him crazy when he came out in it. I said, who in New York wears a seersucker suit? A slimy son of a bitch like Sanders. That's who wears a seersucker suit.
Lord have mercy. Woo! When I first heard her call seersucker suit, I was dying laughing. And it still cracks me up, because all I think about is what's that movie? Oh man, I can't sing the song right now. But anyway, Brother Devon, your final thoughts and commentary.
Yeah, so what I want to say is just look for I know we was thinking about what to do and how to do it, but we definitely gonna look to do it on TikTok. So look for that. It'll be a space after the session's over, probably our first space ever. Just coming on, thanking the fam for everybody that did work, giving you the last updates, giving you a projection on what's to come. You know, in New York politics and what we've been able to do together as a family and what our agenda will be coming up for 2027, because the work continues. And so does the fight. And so we here for the long haul. So we will definitely have that and keep you posted on that. I also just want to say to the family in regards to some of the to the cases that we're bringing up. Now, I don't know how true it is, but I do know what I'm about to say is true in general. Maybe not about this case specifically, and I hopefully will be able to find out some more details as Sister Keisha and Sister Brooke puts this new call to action forward in regards to Karmelo Anthony's case. But family, foundational Black American family, our freedmen family, I need us to take a different look and a different approach to jury duty as we move forward. Understand that some of the reports coming out of it, again, I don't know if it's true about this case, but I do know it to be true. In my circle, I've done it, so I'm not innocent, and I've heard others that do it as well. We have to be very careful about trying to do everything that we can to get out of jury duty. Like I said, it's been loosely reported that a number of potential jurors, possibly foundational Black American jurors or, you know, Afro-immigrant jurors, whoever they were, came out in the process and said, hey, I don't have the ability to be impartial, and or I don't have the ability to send him to jail if he's guilty, and or I can't send a child to jail for life no matter what they did. And I know it's hard. I know jury duty don't pay shit. And it's just an inconvenience altogether. You don't want to be there instead of being at work. But I need all of us to understand and start looking at this as this is work for the lineage. Because you never know what case it's going to be for. And in the instance where they tell you what case it is, I need you to make that sacrifice for the lineage. I need you to get on there, because if when we are not, we know what happens. And I'm not telling you to lie, but under no circumstances should you be in there revealing your biases when you know that the opposition ain't going to reveal theirs. And even if they do, they will still get chosen, and their bias is against us. So don't go in there showing your foundational Black American ass and or hand by saying, I don't know if I could ever put him under the jail or put him in jail if he's guilty. I need you to go up in there and say, I can be as partial and unbiased as can be, regardless of how you really freaking feel. Because we got to get in those jury boxes like they've been in those jury boxes against us since since the beginning, ever since. So please, we got to get much better at this jury thing, because when it's not us in there, it will be them, and it don't make no goddamn sense why, if any of us had the potential to be on that jury, we said some stupid shit like that to get out of it. Please, we have to make that sacrifice for our lineage moving forward, because we understand that this is a version of lawfare, and we need soldiers in every facet of the game. And you might just be the one jury that says, fuck it, I'm not going with y'all for shit. And then it's a hung jury or it's a mistrial. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's power in that jury box. So we need to be in all positions of power. Lastly, I want to end on this, in that I know I went off on a tangent about that crazy space on TikTok, but just getting back to my testimony. And again, this is not so that you join the U.S. Freedmen Project or you donate to the U.S. Freedmen Project, both of which you can do and will be greatly appreciated. But I want to just further impress upon you that the legacy organizations are compromised. All of them are compromised. And Sister Keisha said that in one of the first hearings I was in attendance where her at. And over time, they have only shown to prove her correct, documented. And so that's what was on the record at that hearing and what I said. Documentation of Mark Morial coming in the 9th hour to disrupt and sabotage the case that everyday Black Americans had made to the OMB to say, hey, African American is race-based and we do not want to be a part of it anymore because we can't get legislation. And I want to say this because Sister Brooke always says that more people need to understand this. I want y'all to get this. Those OMB hearings, and this is the power of the foundational Black American grassroots and that American freedmen political renaissance I talked about in that testimony. Those OMB listening sessions were not for foundational Black Americans. It was not for us at all, not even a little bit. Those OMB listening sessions at the federal level was the culmination of 20 years worth of advocacy by the MENA group to get out of the white category because they were being discriminated against since 9/11 in 2001. So we're now in 2026. So it was over 20 years of advocacy that they were fighting for delineation and disaggregation from whiteness because they couldn't file any discrimination suits and they were coming against it heavy by their former white colleagues in the system, in the hierarchy since 9/11. Y'all know what that was like in this country because of who they blamed 9/11 on. So those listening sessions were strictly for MENA. But just like we always do, somebody was trying to have a party and we was like, wait, hold on, we not invited? We just coming up in there. And we got in there and made such an impression. There were so many submissions about foundational Black Americans and us needing our own category and the current categories being insufficient. The OMB was forced to put us in a report that they had no intention of writing about us anyway. That's how
Strong
much
on that.
made. That's how much of an impact we made. And Mark Morial of the OMB, the NAACP, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, sound familiar? All got on this letter that Mark Morial submitted to the OMB to say, nope, don't make no determinations on foundational Black Americans because you didn't hear from us yet. And we are the people that you need to be listening to. And he requested a 90-day delay that took it well past the deadline that the OMB has set. That was purposeful. But even with that delay and the time that he got from the OMB, his case wasn't for foundational Black Americans. His case was against foundational Black Americans to say it might put Afro-Latinos and other immigrant groups in a bad spot if you go forward with this without us looking at them and making sure that they're going to be okay with disaggregation for foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans, be damned that you don't have a category while you're waiting for Mark Morial to figure out what's going to be done with the Afro-Latinos who have a category already. So I'm coming back around to the U.S. Freedmen Project. In New York, unfortunately, but also fortunately, we're the only organization in New York fighting specifically for those of us who had ancestors that was enslaved and emancipated, socially known as Foundation Black Americans, legislatively known as the Freedmen. Here's what I implore each and every one of you. If you don't have a U.S. Freedmen Project in your state or in your city, I want you to understand there's nobody advocating in your city for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so until the U.S. Freedom Project can become that organization nationwide, as we continue to grow, it's going to be up to you to take that case to your officials in your city and your state. And the U.S. Freedom Project will assist you in any way that we can. But I want to really drive that point home as we close this session in New York. And the sessions are different in every city and state. But I want y'all to understand the gravity of what we are up against. When we were walking those halls in Albany, we were being told that there had never been an organization before in the state of New York advocating specifically for your people group. Same thing, we went to DC. DC, that's at the federal level. So just know that there is nobody but us doing this work. And by us, I mean all of us together. So we got to stay together because, again, we all we got, but we all we need. And I'll land there.
You know, I can't wait for this TikTok space. It's going to be fire. I can't wait. It's going to be fire. But there were no lies told. And the good thing about it, Brother Divine, what you just said, I had several people reach out to me asking for help in their cities and states. And so I've directed them to the U.S. Freedmen Project. Several. So we'll see if they make that move. You know, but we've come to the end of our program. 1111 angel numbers. It's time for us to get up out of here. Next week, part 3. I have no final thoughts and commentary. I'm going to let my old words speak for me. This is for Democratic shills and tethers and their pan goofies. Good night, y'all. Yeah.
Y'all want us to chill? You gotta chill too. I got you, brother. I got you. You would qualify because you do have a line that goes back to the enslavement in this country. If you don't, go elsewhere and appeal your claim. Stop leaning on, and that's the problem with Pan-Africanism. You all have been leaning on our legacy for so long. You don't know how to stand on your own.
I don't necessarily. That's absolutely not true. Hold on.
I said what I said.
Hold on. Everybody's.
On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight. Thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcy brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights the world will see Black Power media on a spree. Facebook, YouTube all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves.